Shirt show. All right, let's go.
Shirt show! Talking shirt! Shirt show! Talking shirt! Shirt show! Talking shirt! Shirt show! Shirt, man! All right! Episode 56 of Shirt Show. We're talking with Lucas and Nick from GraphXsource in Texas. Let's go!
Hey there, baby bear.
Hey, big dog.
This meeting is being recorded.
Could you hear that?
I did, yeah.
Okay. Can you see it?
Oh, it's like a recorder, yeah.
Isn't that neat?
It's pretty neat.
Yeah,
Brings back the old times for you.
it does. You probably have never seen one of those.
Mm-mm.
So how have you been, man? It's been a while.
I know. I feel like I haven't seen you in forever.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
We talked, but I haven't seen your beautiful face.
I know. Like,
Because we had to record what? It was like a week and a half ago.
we did, yeah. I miss you so bad. I miss you like so hard.
I miss you so hard right now. Yeah, no, I mean, last week was balls to the wall crazy. And then I had a normal weekend. And then I went to Chicago all week.
Yeah,
So
tell me about that.
Now I'm back.
I've only heard bits and pieces. I saw that you and Marcotte
Made love.
finally met, like that guy. He's pretty much an unknown,
Right.
but somehow.
Yeah, I was, sitting in my hotel room and this weird guy named Matt Marcotte
Yeah.
hit me up and said, come hang out with me. I'm waiting outside your hotel room.
Like
and
the
I-
actual room, not down
Right,
the lobby.
right.
He was like outside your room.
Right. And so I
creepy.
just hung out with him and we fed each other like room temperature
Mm-hmm.
hard-boiled eggs.
Well, that sounds, I don't know. That sounds like a good time.
Yeah, no, it was fun. I went to Method Printing in downtown Chicago. That was fun. They had a really rad shop. I unloaded shirts for them for a little while. And then we went to Matt Marcotte's
Sound and Fury.
Sound and Fury. And that's a super rad manual shop. Hung out there for a while. And then we went to some brewery. And that's where I had video of me and Matt feeding each other hard-boiled eggs.
And you had a pint of root beer.
I had root beer. He's like, oh, we have root beer on tap. And I was like, oh, yeah, that sounds awesome. He's like, it's got cinnamon in it. And I was like, okay. Like, it kind of concerned me that he warned me it had cinnamon in it. And then when I got it, I was like, oh, yeah, this definitely has some shit.
I once had an idea that I wanted to start a root beer company that would be at bar and grills, restaurants
Yeah,
where you bring kids to also or just for the non-drinkers out there so that you can feel like you're getting beer also. Because if you look at the bar, it's so much like when I'm trying to decide a beer, like an unknown beer, I'm not really sure about, I look at the taps and I'm like, oh, well, that's a kick-ass tap and I'll take that beer.
Right.
Well, I was going to make the best root beer tap like ever. And so that when you and kids and everybody else would show up, they would want that root beer. You know what I mean? It was going to be really great root beer too. Like it wasn't like you were going to have a cool tap and then shitty root beer. It was going to be good root beer.
We actually kind of looked into that a little bit before because I had the same idea of just like making a soda company because I had that place next door before I rented it out. And I was like, oh, like I love bottled soda. Like that's something I like try to find good, all over the place.
Right.
And I kind of looked into it a little bit and I was like, I kind of bailed on the idea, but I looked into how to make root beer because that's like kind of like one of the harder ones, I guess. And it was one of those things, just kind of bored looking into it, but
Dude,
you should do it. You should still do it.
Well, are we twins?
I think so.
Because
mind meld.
We separated it for some reason, like everything we want to do and like in every way we are.
Other
same.
than the feet thing.
It's the same.
Right.
Huh.
We're one human.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
That's pretty cool.
Did you get the book in the mail from Rod?
I did. So I was just going to talk about that from Ken.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
From Rod Tees.
Yeah.
And first of all, I was going to talk about our book, which I'm sure you've finished because book club is on Wednesday.
Dude, I'm not going to lie. I have read none of that book right now.
I was just, so Jimmy was in town and I was like, the book club is on a Wednesday. I mentioned it. And then he said, oh, well, Dylan probably hasn't read it. And I'm like, right. So he knows. He knows.
Yeah.
And, but you need to, I don't know what you can do about that because
I'm going to have to try to power through it because the problem is that there was no audio of this one.
Right. Well, what did you do on the flight? What did you do in your hotel rooms? What did you do when you were waiting? You texted me. You're like, I'm bored. I'm waiting.
I didn't bring it, and I should have.
Right. And so it's going to take you way longer to read it. And this is the thing is like you'd really like this one. This guy's badass. Anyway, I'm almost done with it, and I really like it. But our next book, which I can announce right now, because this comes out in a week or whatever, right?
Mm-hmm.
Our next book was sent to us. I got one and you got one because he mentioned it on our last podcast.
And hope to God there's an audio version.
Our good friend Ken at Rod Tees. And right, there better be an audio version because, oh no, this is like not even 100 pages. This is how thick it is. And Dylan's freaking out.
Yeah.
See that?
It's too thick.
That is how thick it is.
Mm-hmm.
But here it is. Ready?
Purple cow.
This will transform your business by being remarkable. Seth Godin. I know you've heard of Seth Godin. For sure.
It teaches you how to stand out, right?
Is that why it's called Purple Cow? Because I guess it'll stand out. So thing is this was written in 2002. I don't know.
2002.
We'll see if it still holds. All right. So that's the book thing. All right. That's the book deals. Yeah. So let's talk about our sponsors, man.
Hey, yeah, sure.
Easy Ways line of eco-friendly chemicals will get the job done faster, more efficiently, and will cost you a fraction
of the cost
per
screen.
Exactly. And you know what I love? I love when
me.
I do love you. I do love you so much. I haven't told you that today, have I? I'm sorry. Dylan, I love you.
I love you too.
Okay.
Okay.
Yeah, don't look down when you say that. Look at
I'm
my
looking
eyes.
directly in your eyes. I'm looking directly in your soul.
You know what I love? I love when things work the way they're supposed to. I love when I put 701 on a screen and it does what it's supposed to do. Right?
Right.
You know what that is? It's easy.
Because it's the easiest way.
It is. It is the easiest way.
Yeah. Go ahead.
Frank. That's right.
That's right.
I spoke to Frank. I talked to him a couple times this week, actually.
Really?
Yeah. Print United.
Yeah. What'd he say?
He's down. He's going there. And you know what he wants? He needs buttons. And he needs buttons that are pre-recorded, that have all of that on there. And also buttons that are printed on that that's I know. I mean, and so I was like, okay, we'll work on it. This is going to be
need to, if anybody out there knows before this happens, I need to find a wholesaler that sells those. Like, I have the Frank button I sent him, but it's like the easy button from Staples,
right?
Where you push it and it says something. I bought one on Amazon and I don't remember. I was like $15, $20 or whatever, the one I gave Frank. So obviously we need to find like wholesale buttons that I can record on. So if anyone knows where I can get those.
Yeah. And so we need wholesale buttons that we can record on, like 500-ish, like maybe 1,000. I don't know, a lot, right?
And I need to record on every single one of those.
Well, that's the thing. Like there has to be a way. I hope there's a way.
Me and Brian were talking about it because I told him that Frank wanted me to record the Frank on a button. And I said, what we should do is just do like a game of telephone with him, where like on the very first one, I record the original Frank. Right. And then on the second one, I just hit the button and get the recording off of the first button. And then by the time I get to the 500th button, it's just going to be like,
but also more than just, it has to have that on there. It also needs to say GSF. It stands for Graphic Screen Fashion.
Fashion.com.
We have another sponsor, and they are Monarch. And my favorite thing about Monarch is their high opacity mixing system that gets you the colors you need.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yep.
That's my fave.
Yep.
How about you?
Samesies. I really like the Stark. I really like the mixing system a ton. And I really like the Yeti QLT2 for all my poly stuff because it's got a very high, it's got good blocker to it.
So ink better, print better, be better.
Live Moss. Monarch.
Did you see that story from Artware where they had Taco Bell packets?
And put Live Moss on there. Monarch.
It was so beautiful.
It ruled.
It ruled.
We should say we kind of just said that from Frank that we were going to be at Print United, so we're going to be there. So if anybody wants to go to Print United in, what is it, October? End of October?
October.
Yeah. I think it's beginning of October. Somewhere in October, Print United in Orlando. Because Print Hustlers is the end of October.
I don't know. Maybe it's September. Print Hustlers is in October. I'm going to be there. Guess what?
I'll be there
I got my tickets and I got too. Did you get your hotel?
No, not yet.
You can stay with me.
Okay, cool.
You can stay with me and JoJo like last time. You just sleep in the middle. We got you. We got a room.
Right,
Don't worry about it.
Right.
Don't worry about it.
I mean, JoJo was a blanket hog, but at least we had each other's body warmth.
Are you ready? Hype me up. Come on.
Ready, motherfucker. Can you hear me?
Recording?
Did you check mics?
I heard you.
Okay, cool. There's one, and there's the other.
Big Dylan, what's happening?
Up? How's it going?
Andy, doing good, man.
Hey, Nick.
Woo! I've got some props that I want to show you guys. By the way,
I forgot.
So first off, I have to give Andy the old credit on the Shirt Kong hat, which has traveled to. I think this thing is probably seen 30 states already. So, and it gets everybody goes, what's Shirt Kong? I'm like, you're on a need to know basis. Just saying. So
yeah, they wouldn't know.
If you had an Upstate hat, then there'd be like
an Upstate hat. Everyone would have known, but they're like, "What's this short dong hat you have on?"
Oh my God. Speaking of, we got Big Dylan. I had to take this guy apart. When you said you printed for FBM, that was like near and dear to my heart.
Right.
Here's my custom FBM sword, man.
Oh, nice. You got one. I wanted one so bad. And then I feel bad hitting up Crandall now and be like, hey, you got any extra bikes laying around?
Yeah. What's he up to nowadays? Like,
he has a coffee company.
Oh, that's right. Is it any good?
He still does all the same shit. I think he's still living in the bus. He's still at bike, events and building all kinds of tracks and stuff. That rules.
Awesome. Yeah, man. That's that was a pretty big thing to check off the list, dude. That house that we stayed in Long Beach was the craziest, dude.
Mm-hmm. Did you end up sleeping in the house, or were you sleeping in the car in the driveway?
Both. No. No. We got like the downstairs. So to preface this house is like a Willy Wonka house. Like there is like rooms. It's just like everywhere that they could put a room that's like not a room at all. Right. They converted this thing to where I want to say it was 19 bedrooms, 20 bedrooms,
22 beds.
Yeah.
And
22 beds,
and we had like 30 something people there. So people were sleeping on the couch. People were sleeping in their cars. People were sleeping on the floor. And like you said, though, like this house was straight up like an Airbnb, but it was straight up made into being like, as many human bodies as you could fit in this thing as possible.
Nick, you signed up for this because I peg you as a guy who wouldn't do that. Like you voluntarily.
Dude, Nick was down to party. We were all down to party.
Fun. It was fun. Dude, if there would have been an earthquake at that house, like half of the freaking textile industry would have been wiped out.
Yeah, it was a good time.
Dude, do you remember when he sous vide the meat? Josh sous vide the meat? Mm-hmm. That was so good. That was like, oh man.
He was hyping up the meat. He was hyping up the meat pretty hard, and then it was a good time. What was it on like the second or third day or something? Yeah, we all had dinner together.
Yeah, that was awesome.
It was nice. It was a good time.
Having done Long Beach for 13 years straight, like that was such a nice. That was probably the funnest Long Beach.
Well, you had to drive super far, didn't you? Didn't you come from Washington or something?
Yeah, we road tripped it down. It was pretty epic, actually. So, although on the road trip down, like it never rains in California, right? So like as soon as we cross the border into Cali, it just downpours, like just starts, dump and rain. It was like, probably 10:30 at night. And we're hauling at, it's California. It's like everybody speeds. It's like 70, if you're not going 75, you're kind of under the gun. Right. But we crossed under this overpass and like there was all this standing water. It ripped the back of my bumper off.
I remember that. Yeah.
I was like, oh, hey, that's, missing them.
Yeah. Well, it's funny too, because like we left New York in January, which is, not the greatest. Yeah. And we were like, oh, we're going to go to California where it's going to be like 80 and sunny and beautiful. Same thing. As soon as we landed, it was like downpour. Everything was flooding because they have like no.
Oh, yeah. Forgot about that. Yeah.
No way to like.
Infrastructure. Yeah. The infrastructure is not there.
So it worked out though. It was a good time. So what's going on with you guys, Lucas? What you haven't said much. What are you up to today?
Well, you guys had stories. I was listening. No, I've been in Nashville. I'm in Nashville, Tennessee right now. And there's worse places to be stuck in.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah.
I've been helping some shops out and, that's what we do. So travel and help shops.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And recording an album.
Oh, yeah. You got to.
What's good in Nashville right now? What shops are you going to?
Well, there's a bunch. I actually have been kind of using Nashville to hang out on the weekends and launch from there. So last week I was in Atlanta and hit up some pretty big shops out there. And then there's stuff all up north, all the way up to Kentucky. So I've kind of just road tripping around. I visited Twine the other day. Twine was actually last month. They're a pretty cool shop.
Yeah.
That's awesome. I saw their M&R story. It seems like they're really art heavy, which is super cool.
Yeah. But that's a nice thing about being with GraphXsource is there's not a shop I can go into that I can't help. It's amazing.
Right. Like this is a nice thing about not being like an equipment manufacturer because like you're kind of limited to like where you're going. Yeah. Mm-hmm. And you guys can kind of pop in anywhere and have at least something to help out with.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, and it doesn't even matter the size of the shop, big, small, medium, the biggest places in the planet, we can help all of them. So it's a cool spot.
I have a zillion questions about all of that stuff. But before we get into that, you both have been in the industry for a while. Mm-hmm. And I thought maybe you could each share your backgrounds and how you got started in it.
Sure. Nick, Lucas, you want to go first or me go first?
It doesn't matter. Let's flip a coin. Oh, before we get into that, I had to show you guys this. So you know how you have one singular one more. You know how you have the Frank button?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Okay. You have to download this app, which I use all the time. And Lucas, you're going to take it away on the background, but I use this app all the time.
We have to get a Frank.
So you can get a button you're saying and assign any sound you want to it.
Precisely right. Yeah, that's
exactly. Can you assign any graphic? Like if I wanted it to have that on there, can I drop a graphic?
So
that graphic, I feel like GraphXsource could never compete with.
You may be right. You may be on something. But yes, to answer your question, yeah.
Cool.
But, all right, Big Luke, take it away.
All right. Well, my background is I started in this. I was raised in it. My dad had a shop growing up. And so it was like hang out with dad, go out to the garage and help him out. Then we merged with another company. We became one of the biggest sign companies in our town. And then my dad was getting to the point where he's like, I'm kind of done. Do you want to take over? And I'm like, I wanted to do music. And I was young at the time. So we sold it. And then I did whatever I wanted to for a couple of years and was playing a lot of music. And that's how I met Ryan Moore. And I used to do Ryan Moore's screen printing because I was a Solvent printer, so I could do bumper stickers and all that stuff. And I was printing stuff for them. And then he called me out of the blue one day. He was like, I need help with this thing. I said, let me look at it. And it turned out to be Ryonet. And it was silkscreeningsupplies.com at the time. And I was there for like 11 years, 12 years, something like that. And then I went to work with, it was a long time. It was over a decade. And
2006.
You just turned that into a real quick, I was there for like a real quick, like 13 years.
Exactly.
Yeah, right.
I mean, there's
short amount of time.
there's a lot of things that happened in that 13 years. I mean, that company went from small to large really fast. And I mean, when you're growing a company that big, that fast, I mean, it's work. And, you know, I don't want to ever do it again, but I also don't regret doing it at the same time.
Yeah.
But that, I mean, going that big, that fast is hard work. And I mean, that's all you think about is screen printing. I mean, that's all I know about. If I was in any other industry, I'd be completely worthless. I have a bunch of nuanced, stupid knowledge that has to do with this specific thing. And, you know, I taught Greek to most people. So, but then after that, I went to work with Matsui. I was there for about a year and a half, and then COVID happened. They laid everyone off. And then interviewed around, almost took a couple jobs, talked to some people, but really GraphXsource is the only company I really felt comfortable with and wanted to do. Because when I was with Matsui, no shop wants to talk to a water-based okay? Everyone's a plastisol shop. There are the few. And I mean, it's 90% plastisol out there. And you go to a shop and they're like, we don't like that stupid water-based stuff. And I'm like, it'll help you. And they're like, I don't think so. But now I'm at a place where I can legitimately help everyone I'm at. So
yeah,
that's good. That's good.
Yeah, it's got to have a nice feeling to it to know that like you're not going to walk into some place and they're just going to immediately disregard anything you have to say.
Exactly. And I mean, there's just getting in the shop and talking shop is so much fun. And if it has nothing to do with art, just anything. I mean, there's so many ways you can help when you're in there. And a lot of shops, you know, their heads are in the sand because they're so busy.
Right.
And when I get there, I force them to look around a little bit. And then maybe I say a couple things that help that shop that day. And that's why we do it, you know?
Right. No, that rules.
Yeah.
Nick?
Yeah, man. So very similar paths to Lucas. I mean, we worked together both. So when I started at Ryonet, it was 2006. And Lucas was there before I was, you know, and like I actually kind of looked up to Lucas because he had a lot of, you know, solvent-based knowledge, which is, you know, kind of either you have it or you don't. Solvent-based printing is like difficult, but yeah, started with Ryonet in 2006, had a small little garage shop and, you know, did the whole thing back there. But when Lucas and I at Ryonet were road warriors, man. So we were on the road constantly. I mean, there was a good probably 7 or 8 years where I would come home, you know, 24 hours at the house, wash the clothes, you know, repack. Have you ever seen the movie? I feel like everybody in this group has seen the movie Fight Club, where it's like the single serving, you know, like that was us, you know, like you open up the refrigerator and it's just condiments and you're like, oh, I'm going to go to a restaurant. Like, so yeah, like growing that fast and that rapidly, you know, like Luke was saying, it was an incredible amount of work. The travel aspect of it was, I don't know, you know, I know people that travel a lot during that time. We were just, you know, it was rare to be in your home state, you know, which is really cool. And, you know, you get to gain a lot of knowledge from different shops. But to Dylan's point on the GraphX side, the thing that I love about it and that makes it so unique is Ryonet, you know, we were met with a lot of like, hey, you know, I'm this or I'm that, you know, to where it's, you know, hey, like, see you, you know, get the hell out of the shop kind of thing, right. You know, like here's the back door. But yeah, like on this side, you can literally help the garage shop to the, you know, to the BSNs of the world, and it's just a better. I like it. It's a better fit, you know, for lack of a better term. But yes, I've been with GraphX now for 2.5 years. The GraphX has a pretty deep, the company's been around since like 60 something. So before it was GraphX, you know, we're going back to the nucleus. At the beginning, it was Dallas Cap and Emblem. At Dallas Cap and Emblem, you know, they're like they say, they're an emblem manufacturer. Well, they would train these digitizers, and digitizing is obviously, you know, a pretty skilled craft. So they realized like, hey, you know, just like outsourcing separations, just like outsourcing vectorizing, they're kind of on the forefront. They kind of built that business model, which is pretty crazy. But yeah, dude, they've made, you know, the Apollo missions. They made the emblems that went on the Apollo missions, which is super cool. But
that's super awesome.
Yeah, man, I'll pull up a little picture, but yeah, it's been, I like this side significantly better because you can help everybody underneath the sun, which is trusted advisors.
Like 35 years ago, I was at the emblems.
Yeah, that's a letter from Richard Nixon was the president at the time. Nixon wrote him a thank you for the ones that went on the Apollo missions.
Can you imagine pulling off what you do now 35 years ago? It seems like it'd be impossible. You know, you have the technology now. You can literally, you know, load some artwork up in the morning and get SEPs back like a few hours later. You know, and that's incredible.
Yeah.
Well, I want to go back to, this doesn't have anything to do with either any of our companies, but I kind of am curious, like working for like Rhina and stuff, like being on the road, what is that really like for you guys? I know it's like you're kind of by yourself, you're just in a car or whatever, or you're flying constantly to different places. Is it just like, all right, well, we're going to go do East Coast stuff now, and I'm going to go to as many shops as possible and just talk to them and then go back and then do the next thing? Is it like, it just seems like super draining.
It seems like you would be almost like if you're in a band and you're on tour.
Yeah, but you're not with bandmates. You're by yourself. Both of you right now are like, I don't even want to talk about it.
Lucas, you take it. Lucas, take it over, man. Lucas has been the road warrior recently.
Well, I'm on this trip lasts about a month, but I mean, honestly, the people that we go to see, I mean, there's always an anchor spot we're going. There's a plan of action, and then we try to fill the time with shops around. Like, to your point, you just go to area. I don't just like pick a specific area and go. Like, I have a conversation with a shop that needs my help, and so when I'm going, they're expecting me, and I need to show up. And actually, showing up gives you energy because you're working your strength. And that should go with everyone. If you're not working your strength, you get tired. But if you're working exactly where you know you're going to help this person, it gives you energy. So I don't mind doing it because it's fun, because I'm doing what I know and I'm doing what I like, and I know that I'm appreciated while I'm there. And so, I don't know, it does get draining at times, but like I'm in Nashville right now. Like after we get done with this, I'm going to go watch some bands play and probably drink a little too much.
On a Sunday evening.
And so, I mean, there's cool spots all over the country. You just have to enjoy the ride. And I mean, being in a lot of shops gives me a lot of broad knowledge of things. So it just helps me help more people. You know, that's all there is to it.
Right.
And that gives you energy. I mean, it's these, I don't know, printers are like the people and artists, in particular musicians. They're all like the same type of human. And I think I just get along and dig all those people a lot. Yeah. So the more relationships you have, the better. Like there's very few cities I can go now that there's not someone that would let me crash on their couch.
Right.
Which is cool.
Mm-hmm. Oh, that's awesome.
Yeah. I'll address it on, you know, the side. Like traveling for GraphX is significantly better than the constant, like historically it's just been like travel. You know, you get home and you're like, okay, what do I do now? But like the GraphX, it's a better fit because it's significantly more planned out. So I like, there was a while where I traveled. I worked for M&R too. I'm not sure if you knew that for a little while under Nislotic, which was super cool. That travel was that was insane. That was, you know, you're expected three weeks out of the month where it's just boom, 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 you know, fly home on a Friday, travel on a Tuesday.
Nick, I have a very, I hope it goes good. Request from Marcotte asked me to specifically ask you about the time he saved you from Thailand.
Yeah, that was a thing he did, man. I owe Marcotte like, yeah. So it was the last night in Thailand, you know, like GraphX trip. Our facility in Thailand is freaking unbelievable. So
if you guys ever want to go, let us know.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's open invitation.
Open
go
door
to Thailand.
policy on, Honduras, Thailand, all of our, Dallas. Dylan, you're gonna visit Dallas, the office, when you go to Texas.
Yeah, no, I will. Yep.
But yeah, dude. So Marcotte saved my ass. So we go out to dinner, and like we're all hanging out and all that good stuff. I was just like, all right, man, last night in Thailand, like I'm gonna just like go out, venture out, just do it up. I'm like, dude, it's the last night. Like let's, right. And needless to say, so the flight's approaching, like, and I'm monitoring, like when the flight is gonna, I'm like, all right, so I need 40 minutes to pack, hour to get to the airport, so I'm like counting it down, and I didn't plan enough time. and on top of that, there was I was moving a little bit slower than normal. Let's put it that way.
Mm-hmm.
So
there are some hindrances.
Yeah, there's a couple. The Thai beer is so damn good, man. Like it's just, it's so good. It's just better. It's like, yeah. Anyway, but yeah, Marcotte saved my ass, man. And getting through the airport was interesting for sure. Oh, we got stopped. We got stopped by Thai police on the way. So they had these like checkpoints.
This is the story. I heard this whole story from him already. So like the police part to me was the funniest part.
Oh yeah. They have like crazy checkpoints, and I was not having it, cause like, I'm like looking at the shit. I'm like, and I think I was being pretty rude to the Thai police, which I don't think they particularly like. But I was like, let's get through. That's a PG-13 version.
Okay. I won't dive into the other version that I heard, but the PG one's pretty good.
Precisely. Dude, Thailand that place is unbelievable, man. Like the culture and it's like the land of smiles, like it's just it's a Buddhist country. So it's like, it's very peaceful, just like, man, place is unreal.
So let's, I guess for the people that don't know, can you guys give like the summary of what GraphX is?
Lucas, you want to take this one, buddy, or you want me to?
Either way,
I want the sales pitch.
The quick one-liner is we do artwork, and nothing starts until there's art. So, and it's kind of the hardest part of everything. But we have really good people, and they live in Honduras, and they'll do it really, really well for you. I mean, that's the long and short of it. It's not complicated. Everyone needs what we have right now, and we can do it all remote. And our team down there is so good. Yeah. And it just doesn't make sense not to use us. So
that's all you had to say. You didn't have to say anything else. You just say it doesn't make sense not to use us.
Well,
and then hang up.
It doesn't make any sense. I mean, we'll make your wildest dreams come true. I don't know.
So can you give us a rundown on how it works? Like, so it's a monthly thing.
Well, not necessarily. I mean, we have a la carte options. So you can I just need this set. Like your artist is overwhelmed. Is like, send us some of your production stuff that takes your time. Redraw this for me. We have all that. And then we have a staffing option, which is a person that we hired that works for you. And they're 40 hours a week. And I have junior artists and I have senior artists. Junior artists are a couple grand. The senior artists are $2,600. And the senior artist has just been around a lot longer. They're more probably on the creative side, or
you said it's 2,600 a month.
2,600 a month for the senior artist.
That handles process steps and all that good stuff.
Right, but you got to think of that broken down as if you had an employee paid at your shop doing art and steps and sim process and everything. Like that's a cheap employee.
Yeah. Yeah. Dylan,
so what? So right. It doesn't make sense not to use this then? Okay.
Right.
And the value, they can do art on 25 jobs a day. Right.
Well, they're like an employee. Sure. Like we set up like a chat channel in Skype, and it's like having a cubicle next to you. So you have real time talking to the artist. Honduras is on Mountain Time now, and then they turn Central Time when we change our clocks because they're not changing their clocks. And so they're working with you throughout the day. And if you're like, you know what, stop what you're doing, work on this, you just get in the chat or call them on the chat or video them. And if you're on press and you're like, this didn't work, could you fix it? And they'll show me what's going on. We show you and we fix it. I mean, it's like having an employee there. It's crazy. To your point earlier, technology makes this work now.
Right.
And we have really good people training them that are actually production artists from America. They're not Hondurans, actually. They're like we take all that because we print different in America than everywhere else. I don't know if you guys knew that. Everywhere else is water-based and printing stuff, and they're all cut and sew operations, and it's way different types of printing. So, but we have our like core here, and like, what do you think? 70% blue out there? Like our main guy has been working with him in ours for forever, and he knows how to dial in your curve settings on your eye image, stuff like that. You just can't get anywhere else than with us because we know screen print.
Right.
So the value prop for GraphX, like especially, because there's multiple divisions, like Lucas was saying, there's the a la carte options, which, works for I don't mean to alienate the garage shop because I was one. So, but yeah, it's like, it doesn't have to be that enterprise level right out of the gate. And oftentimes we find that it scales to that level, meaning that,
right.
Somebody will place, X amount of SEPs, X amount of redraws, X amount of digitizing. And when you expand that out and look at it on a monthly, once they surpass that $2,000 mark or the $2,600 mark, it just makes more sense to transition it right over to the
Nick. That makes a whole lot of sense, because we were talking to Nate, and he owns Hanson Screen Printing, a couple of weeks back, and we said that you'd be a perfect fit for a shop like his, because right now he's struggling. So he does the art, he does everything, he does the art, he does invoicing, he does the printing, he does everything. Right. Yeah. And so one of the things that he can easily do without even hiring anyone is bring on a company like you or GraphX. And so that he can say, look, all of my art is going to be done, and not just my art, but my SEPs, and it'll be emailed to me in the morning and I have it. And so it makes perfect sense for him. Because one of my questions was what shop, what size shop are you the best fit for? And it sounds like it's all, Lucas, you said that a minute ago too. And also you can scale with it. And so you can start off like Nate can say, okay, cool. I'm going to use this service. And then as he grows, he can continue to use it. Cause I jokingly said, what if I wanted 25 jobs a day? But actually I think that's realistic. I mean, you can,
because without a doubt,
not all of our, like most shops, not all of our 25 jobs are sim process, really tough things. And so, most of them are pretty easy, quick turns. And so maybe the senior graphic artist isn't working on that. Maybe somebody else is. I don't know. I don't know how you do it.
Yeah. Yeah. But, no, Andy, you're precisely right. So like, for instance, with the senior artist, it's pretty rare, like unless somebody needs like a heavy creative side, it's rare that I go that option. Cause if we quantify the average artist workload, it's, 75% proofing. Cause that's, like that is the bulk of the workload. So proofing, ensuring, sizing's right, Printavo order numbers right, all the stuff that you guys do, all day, every day. But yeah, when it converts over to the SEP side, I would say, we don't get a ton of sim process SEPs. I would say 65% is, spot color SEPs. And then the rest is kind of,
Well, it just seems like it's just like you're basically hiring a skilled art department without having to build your own.
Exactly right.
Yes.
And then,
which is super difficult. You know what I mean? A lot of people can get people in to, work on press or do anything else, but like getting somebody who knows Photoshop, Illustrator, and then even just knowing Photoshop and Illustrator, it's like, all right, let's figure out like trapping or knowing like what colors work well with process and which ones are going to have dot gain and all this other stuff. And it's kind of like having basically immediately hiring a team that can do that for you. Plus the other thing is too, like even if you do have a guy that's learning and can do SEPs, but doesn't have a ton of knowledge on some process yet, he can do the a la carte option and do, I don't know how to do this. Like we can print it. I just don't know how to SEP it.
Yeah.
Send it to you guys. And that's funny too, because I get hit up all the time by a few shops that are just like, hey, I don't have time to SEP this, or I don't know how to SEP this. It's got like a ton of fades in it or whatever, some kind of process. And we've done it a couple times where I'm just like, yeah, I'll give it to my guy. And like, if we have time, like I'll try to knock it out for you. But there's been a lot of times lately, probably like, I don't know, like 4 or 5 last month where like people have hit me up and I'm like, we're too busy. I'm sorry. Like I can't take yours in to like put aside one of my own. Like, I'm sorry, I just can't do it. So it's nice to know that you guys have that option, because I could totally send them your way and just be like, hey, like use them from now on. Like we're not a company that you come to do SEPs. Like we're just another printer that I'm like a sucker and I'm like, I'll help you out.
No, because
awesome,
you care about the people in your industry. It's fine.
Yeah. Like I want to help them, but
we got each other's backs. That's the way it should be. It's a giant community.
You're part of the craft, man. I mean, that's you're an advocate for the craft. Like that's like the coolest.
Well, it's just like I said, you know, they send you something that's just like they're in a tight spot and they're like, oh, I need it for tomorrow. And I don't know what to do. I've tried it a couple times on press and it sucks and I can't get it right. And it's just like, I want to help you, but I don't have 4 hours to set aside to fix this for you.
Hey, Dylan, on the a la carte, on the sim process separation side, we have a really cool, the interface. So we capture, how many heads they have, how many flashes they have, what RIP software they're using, film output size. So like when we send back the separations, it's print by the number. So we'll call out, and oftentimes we have the shops include all their mesh counts. So when we say, base X, 185X, Pantone, whatever it is, 305, 230, 280. So like when we send back the SEP, we try to, it's print by the number. So it's, and we label it, number 1, number 2, number 3, number 4. The only thing we don't call out is flashing because it's, we can't,
Right.
Yeah. And there's stuff that you just don't know till you're on press. I mean, we've all had to tweak it. We've all had to rotate color. We've all had to throw in a strategic flash where we need it to get it to look right. I mean, that stuff, you have to have a printer on a press to down some of those details. Right. I mean, we can do so much for you, but I mean, we've sent SEPs that I printed perfect and I get to another shop and they're like, I don't like it. And I'm like, but it printed perfect for me.
Right.
And you just realize on press, I mean, there's some stuff that goes on there.
No, let's talk about like, you guys don't just do SEPs, like you guys do actual artwork, right? Like if a customer comes in and it's like, here's a crayon sketch. Here's a cell phone photo of a crayon sketch that I took in a dimly lit room. You guys can hand that off to your team and create something?
Without a doubt. Yeah, all the time. We do that all the time. Like, so meaning that, we get those photos like, so on the website order form, there's a creative, so you can order a conceptual piece, but oftentimes if they have even a crayon sketch is kind of better because it gives us a foundation to work off of. And, it's the proof of concept. So
the first, not the first time I heard about you guys, but my buddy Ron from We Talk Shirty, mentioned you guys last time I had dinner with him, and he was like, oh, I started using GraphX now, and he's like, oh, check out what they're doing, and he showed me. I can't remember what it was. It was like, I brought up the crayon thing because I think that's pretty much what it was. He showed me like someone had like a sketch of a crayon, like I think it was like camping or like a camp logo or something, and then he gave it to you guys, and then he showed me the proof he got back from your artist. And then he's like, not only did I get the artwork, I already had it sepped. It was trapped. It was in order. Basically what you guys just said. Mm-hmm. So then I was like, oh shit, that makes total sense. And then, me and Andy brought it up a couple episodes ago.
I have a question off of that. So let's say you do that. And we submit this crayon sketch. And then you give us, I guess, some final art, but it's not truly final. We have to get it approved. So do you send it to our customer for that approval and then go back and forth and tweak it? Or is that something we do? How does that work?
It's entirely how you have it set up.
I'll answer that in regards to like We Talk Shirty and use that as kind of the case study. So with We Talk Shirty, he staffs with us. And I like the workflow better to where we get it to his team and then they divvy it out to the customer. They gain the data back and then transfer it to our team. But there's shops where we go directly, interface with the clients and, as if we were an employee of the shop. But yeah, I mean, it's ultimately, however you want it to set it up. Canned emails like, hey, if this is incorrect, tell me what revisions that you want, step 1, step 2, step 3, like that really helps our team if we're communicating directly with your end client. Yeah. But and with We Talk Shirty, we divvy it out to their team to get to the end user.
And most of the time when we're dealing directly with the customer, it's a staffing artist, not an a la carte offer person. So because they're going to have some kind of relationship. And most of the time, I mean, like if you're with Printavo or something like that, there's such a good workflow for that stuff. I mean, you set statuses, and normally the first month of staffing, they're like, we want to proof everything and make sure it's good before it goes to the customer. And they do that for a little bit. And then after a while, they're like, they're always good. And we just push approve. So then when you start communicating directly with the customer makes notes, goes right back to our artist. We make the tweaks until it's approved, and it's approved. We get the SEP, we do the SEP. You don't even see the art until it's like production ready, because the status said, let's go to production now. Your SEPs are in there. Like Printavo makes a workflow that's so nice in that regard, because they can just load the art in Printavo, and then like our team handles all of it, even the customer interaction, until it's like outputted on film or direct to screen or however you're doing it.
To Andy's point, there's a ramp up period. So if we are communicating directly with the customer, we like to fill the pipes with water and check for leaks prior to taking off the training wheels and then communicating.
Like the first month, it's always go through your team, and after every time you're just pushing approve, it's always good. Then it's just direct communication, which is why the staffing is so nice, because you're working with the same person day in and day out. And then a year from now, they have intimate knowledge of your whole process. We're using your templates. We're using your everything, and they get to know your customers too.
It's kind of like the same thing as hiring a new employee. I mean, it's like here, like if we have, tomorrow we have a front desk girl starting, and it's the same thing. It's like, okay, you're going to start getting customers, and you have to make invoices and everything. For the first month or two, she has to double check all the stuff that she's about to send to the customer with a senior staff person.
Exactly.
And then, eventually the training wheels come off, and you're like, all right, you can go ahead now. You don't need us to baby this.
Exactly. And it's just cool.
What do you have to do with revisions, as far as is there, if you get a customer who's just a pain in the ass, it's 13 revisions in, is there something that's kind of you get charged differently? If
they have a signature email that says "fuck off."
Yeah,
revision number 10.
Right.
That's what you send, right, guys?
We word it differently.
Right.
Okay.
No, but
it says please fuck off.
So
if you would kindly fuck off.
Right.
on the a la carte side, so we have this whole dude. That was. On
We're
the
all thinking side, it doesn't matter what we say.
If we can't get it by V4, then there's something wrong. Right. So we save everything. So on the a la carte side, we have this thing called post and alert, meaning that, customer X, Y, and Z gets delivered the piece of art. They send it to their customer. Customer comes back with instead of that beer bottle, I wanted a stripper pole or whatever the hell it is, Then which is actually an order that I had recently. That's live, So
it's a top tier customer, basically.
Yeah, dude, he's always, it's funny. But so I think it took 2 iterations before we had it right. So I mean, we build in the workflow to knowing that that there's going to be, if it's perfect right out of the gate, it's never, doesn't really happen that often, especially with custom stuff. But
how do you guys compete with companies like Fiverr and other overseas things? Is it just the fact that it can be streamlined and it's more of an employee, not a random dude every time on Fiverr?
Yeah, and they get art that's made for screen printing, though.
Right.
Or that's sept for screen printing. More than a Fiverr. Not to say that there aren't people out there that understand.
I just feel like I hear that all the time. I hear I use Fiverr for this design or Fiverr for this design. It's I feel like a lot of people just need to know more about your company because
we're screen printers.
Right, because you're screen printers. You're
That's
going
you're
going to an artist, and the funny part is we get this all the time. You go to somebody who says they are going to do a design or a logo for you, and the logo is just drop shadow and fade, and it's that's not a fucking logo. That's a graphic for a car. It's not made for
looks
this.
Good on a flyer.
Right, it's not made for this. So
us training guys, we train artists constantly in Honduras, and we prefer to pull people from screen print shops rather than someone from marketing school or something like that, because they just don't know how to build art for us at all. And it's weird that it's easier to teach someone art from scratch that has some screen printing background than it is to take someone with a graphics background and teach them screen printing. Their brain just doesn't do it right. And I don't know why, because
specialized.
It's just weird.
I need to go back. I need to go back to the revision thing real quick, because I had another note in here that made sense with it. What about like if you get, everything goes good with the customer, everything, you got the art, you got the steps, it goes to press, and it was like a sim process thing or whatever, and it's on press, and you notice on press that there's an issue with the art. How long generally does it take to be like, oh shit, we need to tweak a screen to the art department guy? Like you were saying, like time wise.
Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah. So on both the a la carte side and dedicated artist, it's instantaneous. So meaning that if it's a la carte side, it's post an alert. We monitor alerts faster than incoming orders, meaning that like we have a team under us. Yeah, it's priority. If there's something on press that needs to be shifted. So
I didn't know that makes sense. So there is like an alert thing that's kind of like, hey, I need help now, rather than just like email me later kind of thing.
Well, and also, I mean, couldn't it be that, you're receiving a file that we could even modify here if we wanted? I mean, we could.
Sure.
If we're recognizing what exactly is happening here that needs to be changed or whatever, we could probably.
Right, but I'm saying for the people who are using the service that don't have an art department, they're just like they're using.
Yeah, Andy.
That's instant. That's instant. So meaning that with the dedicated staffing, there's that Skype. We set up a Skype channel, and that's you're communicating directly with the art team. So your artist is communicating. It's seamless. It's as if they were sitting right next to you. So there is a problem on press, color tweaking, mesh count selection was wrong, whatever it is, you can immediately.
Yeah. Because I mean,
time is now.
That's the super important thing is like, if your busy schedule is slammed and the press is stopped, that's kind of where you get screwed. So that makes perfect sense if you guys.
What I love about it is that you get a dedicated person that learns your shop, and so it's sort of like, they learn that Shirkong likes trapping at 0.6 or undercutting at 0.6 or on fleece at a different trap. And so, you don't get a new person every time that has to look up notes on your profile to say, oh, what should I send it as or whatever. They know instantly or automatically anyway, when they're working with us, like exactly how we like it.
Yeah.
And I'll say one more thing about all this too. This is my sales guy hat on again. But we work in pods and we cross-train artists. So when our guy is out sick, we have someone who's stepping that knows your process already. And like one of Nick's clients last week, the artist straight up quit. Have you ever heard an artist quit? Fuck your shit up. Not good.
It's not great. It's not great.
So I just happened to be in this channel with Nick because we both supported him, and one time we did another. But I watched my team have their dedicated artists quit in the morning, and then my team step in with 3 artists making sure all their stuff got done, nothing missed a beat.
The artist that stepped in, Brian likes him better. Like it was kind of like an upgrade.
I know, but it's just you have built-in redundancy with us that you just honestly we just have too good of a team over there. And so you mentioned guys like Fiverr and all the other competition. They're not touching us service-wise at all. It's a different model entirely. It's not what we're doing.
So it's hard to compare them. They're not designing for screen printing, and that's the differentiator. It's like our heels are dug deep in on the apparel side, so it's like that's what we train. So and to give you the nuts and bolts, so we're up to 140 something in Honduras, so 140 people. So the way that we train is we train in pods, meaning that we'll take a team leader that is exceptional with clients, like good communication, steps are on point, artwork is really good. So what they'll do is they'll train anywhere from 6 to 10 people, depending on that person's bandwidth underneath that team lead, and they always have that team lead to bounce back to if there's ever like something that gets stuck, or if there's any issues, or we're in screen printing. There's no issues ever, right? Everything is smooth. There's no problems, period, ever.
Right.
But yeah,
It sounds like
the
that pod thing, like Lucas was talking about, that allows you to have like this deep bench, like to always be able to help you, so for example, so we have 4 designers, and sometimes they're on vacay, sometimes one is overwhelmed, and I don't know, it's really hard to juggle how art flows through here. It always has been. But it sounds like with you guys anyway, you almost, that kind of thing never happens, because if someone is on vacation or if someone is extra busy, they just know how to workflow and hand off projects. And so that we like, as the customer, as the screen printer, we really never even notice it.
Yeah, true.
Yeah, you nailed it. Exactly.
That's why we build it that way.
Yeah, it makes sense though too, because like I have this fear all the time, and Brian, my art guy, has been with me for like 11 years now. He's one of the people that like started with me. And he's amazing at what he does, and he's really great at it. But I always tell him, I'm like, dude, like I'm terrified that like you're going to like say you're in an accident, or like you lose an arm, or you get the flu and you're out for 2 weeks. Like I don't have a replacement for you.
Yeah.
Like realistically, I don't have multiple art guys in the art department. So
all
it's
the things
kind
you
of
just
like,
mentioned were like horrific, awful things.
Oh yeah.
what the fuck shit happens? Like
Dylan's right. Dylan's right. It's the bus method. What happens if you get hit by a bus? You know what I mean?
But that's what I'm saying. It's like, I don't want to be like, oh, what if you get the sniffles? I want to be like, no, what if you fell off a fucking cliff and you caught on fire? Like, like it shit happens. You know what I mean? Like, what do I do? It's just nice to know that there's stuff out there. Like there's options to where like, if something happens, like you got somebody else.
Yeah.
But
so yeah, and to that regard too. So like with those pods, the way that we train people. So like, it's not like if a shop signed on with, artist X, Y, and Z, there's a 2 month or 2 week period prior to them. So we have a very diligent, like, hey, we have a test before somebody gets hired on, like separations, vectorization, because we want to make sure it's a good fit for our company as well too. So we have them pass the test, and then there's a 2 week period where we ramp them up and teach, all the nuances to screen printing and textile art prior to them jumping in. So we've always kind of keep that going, which in turn, when they do jump in and take on a customer's account, it's usually, you're hiring somebody new. So there's always a training period, but it mitigates a lot of the minutia of the art side to where, it's workflow. We're training on workflow, not art.
Yeah. Guys, I'm in Missouri, and I don't know that. Yeah, that's all I wanted to say. But I'm in Missouri, and we have these things called thunderstorms. And it is clear to my left, and it is dark as night to my right. I'm looking over there out those windows. And so the reason I bring that up is we might lose this call. And it'll
all be deleted, and we'll just forget about it and go on to the next guest next time.
But it is rumbling out there. Like I see thunder and lightning right over there. And so it's headed here.
How
so
exciting.
I also may die, which to Dylan's point, if I do,
don't die.
Yeah.
You're too valuable to this industry. Yeah. Don't die.
Short dong will be gone.
Happen.
Yeah, we'll all find out if he passes a bus test or not.
But I think so when I was building this shop, I wanted us to be, I wanted our competitive advantage, one of them anyway, to be design. I wanted, when you came here, like you definitely got a killer design, something that you really, really liked. And so that's why I, at that time anyway, kept on adding designers as we grew, as we scaled. I thought, well, let's add another one, because our designers here, they take on other responsibilities too. So they're not just designing, they're proofing at the end of the dryer, for example, and that takes time out of the day. They also mix inks, which they probably shouldn't be doing, but they enjoy it. Like most of them are like, hey, this is kind of fun. I get to stand up from my desk. I'm going to go mix an ink. This is something I like. Did you hear that?
They're lying to your face.
Oh yeah.
That's some thunder right there.
But you're the boss, sir. They're kissing a little.
if there's other shops, I'm sure there are other shops out there like ours that have multiple designers. But what our designers generally don't like doing is there's probably half of the job, the jobs they do every day are stuff they don't maybe they don't really want to do, or maybe that's really tedious, And so the why I'm considering GraphX is that I thought, for us anyway, we could offload all of that stuff, and then or maybe even on weeks that we're just overloaded, we send you the complicated stuff too, And
GraphX, the shit you don't want to do.
Exactly.
Foundational,
honestly,
dude. I mean, let's call a spade a spade.
Here's the thing: when you hire artists, you want to hire someone creative, and then someone's going to make those designs that you're talking about, and someone that's good. They're outside of the box a little, and all the artists are a little quirky, and you have to deal with this weird things and stuff. But at the end of the day, we need them because they do cool stuff, and we want those people to be doing cool stuff. Let us do the production, vector redraws, the stuff that just consumes time, but it's not creative at all. It's just time consuming.
Yeah. So I want to jump in. I have to say Andy's art department is probably the cool, I've been to Andy's shop. I believe Andy's art department is probably the coolest art department that I've seen in the textile industry. So props on that one majorly. And also,
how big was the envelope of money that he sent you, Nick?
Dylan. Thank you, Nick. We'll edit that part out.
Yeah, we're editing that out because that's fucking horseshit.
But Andy, dude, I've been in a thunderstorm in Missouri. The last major one was in Branson, Missouri. I was visiting a really cool shop in Branson, who you need to know, by the way. They crush it, but we were there late at night. We were running through processes, helping out on press, all that good stuff. And this thunderstorm rolled through, and the sirens, it's probably 10:30 at night. It was cool. I liked it. It was crazy, but yeah, it was like tornado warning /
I love them too. I'll sit out on my porch or my deck or whatever and just watch it roll in. It's incredible. Yeah, I love it.
There's such a force to it to where it's, it's kind of.
We could just play like Garth Brooks' Thunder Rolls right now behind us talking about this. That'd be great.
Lucas, get on it.
It has to be obviously like like you have to be playing it because we won't be able to get the rights to Garth Brooks on here.
Mm-hmm. Has to be a Lucas cover. Just saying.
Right. Can we roll
Nashville?
Can we come off of this Thunder theme and talk about kind of the dark side of this industry? With how do you guys deal with like copyright issues or like paid fonts, or a lot of companies have to deal with like they want to have pencil sketches to prove that like you guys created it versus just like stealing it off the internet kind of thing.
Good call, Lucas. I'll take this one because there's again, I'm going to divvy it out between staffing side and a la carte side. So on the a la carte side, we have 2 check boxes. So it's multiple, like, hey, you own the rights to this. Like, if we're going to be creating it for you, the onus is not on GraphX. The onus is on you, Okay. So it's contractually agreed upon in the a la carte side, but on the staffing side, if it's, in the staffing agreement, we say whatever we create as intellectual property as you contracting us, that is your IP. So it's, you're paying us to create it. So that's your intellectual property.
Which is basically what we do as well, because you never know, like you're not being the company that's creating something. You're not going to know every single like pop culture thing or like logo that somebody has. Like we get shit all the time where we could print it and then we find out later that it's like some like huge pop band's logo or something. And it's like, I had no idea. So I just wondered how you guys kind of like went around that. Well, it's not going around, but it's like safeguarding yourself, I guess.
Onus is on the customer, on the a la carte side, onus is on the customer because we can't, we're not Googling, every single, that'd consume a day's work just in ensuring.
Right. Looking it up.
Yeah.
Okay.
Great question.
That makes sense. Well, like I said, I don't want to. You never know. Like you don't want to be like, oh, I used GraphX, and then every design they gave me was just a vectored Google image.
Right. Jesus, that would be.
You got a little.
That wouldn't work out too well.
What do you got there? Is that a little monkey? Is that a little puppy? What did I hear?
Oh yeah, it's my dog. That's my little pups, and that's Malbec. That's our little red healer and Jack Russell mix, man. And she gets Lucas has met her. She's
endless energy.
That's my girl. That's my girl. Well,
is there any sort of trial available? Can you can we get a job or a day's worth or something like that? I mean, what options are there?
Yes,
a la carte, and then see if you like it.
No, first week. Yeah. So yeah, first week is on us just to ensure that, everything is the right fit and all that good stuff. Because I mean, there are times where it's not a good, very, very rarely we'll throw everything at a resource until everything that we have until, it's not a good
basically
fit.
Until you get to 13 revisions and they send you that fuck you email.
Or if a shop's rude to our artists or like me, that's not a good fit. Like that's not, I'm sorry.
Right.
That's not going to work out for us.
We have the ability to fire people, we're not trying to get every customer that comes our way. I mean, if you don't have processes in place and you're operating your whole art department on emails and like, it's confusing and you're yelling at people, like, dude, we'll fire you. I have no problem doing that. Yeah, I have no problem doing that.
It's so rewarding firing a client.
Well,
especially after every last resource, and you're just like, hey, listen, it's not,
we care about the printing industry and we want it to go well, but there's people out there we don't want to deal with at all because they're impossible to deal with.
Mm-hmm.
If it gets to a point where it transitions from us being helpful to the client to where it's just adversarial, back and forth, which has happened. It's very rare, but it is what it is, right? If communication skills are lacking or whatever, whatever it is, we'll go to the end of the world to ensure that our team is performing precisely the way that the customer wants to. But then when it gets to like a certain level, it's just like, no, I don't think this is,
If you if you're looking for somebody do the firing for you, you can have Dylan and I do it.
Okay. We'll call it up.
Sounds great.
You like to be hatchet men?
Can we just have a whole episode that's just like a list of people that we call and tell them that they can't work with you anymore?
Honestly, yeah, the only time I've ever had it actually happen was just because of COVID. I mean, it created this vacuum where we couldn't even go to our headquarters and everyone was working remote, and Honduras internet's not here, and so things were going a little slower than they need to. All that stuff's been resolved now though, but that was the only time I've ever had any trouble with any of my clients. So most of that stuff's gone away though.
I've only had out of the 2.5 years, there's only been a couple that have really, where it's just like, hey dude, if you're going to be mean to our artists, then that's not going to work. That's not going to work. So on a positive note, I have to show you guys, I just got t-shirt sticky notes, which you can buy on Amazon.com. Just saying. You're playing my heartstrings right now. Everyone knows how I love sticky notes. Dude, I love them too. I have to. They're like the best.
For me, it's just memory. Like I can't remember anything. So the bottom side of my monitor is all sticky notes.
Yeah.
Dude.
They're just all sticky notes.
There's something very like with the tactile writing it down, it like locks it, versus, we all type emails all day long.
It's not even that. It's the gratification of like when you finish what was on that sticky note,
oh my God,
grab it, crumple it, and throw it in the recycling bin. It's just so much more satisfying. Yeah. Versus an email that, where we got to the end of it, like a sales cycle. Right.
Yeah. Good call on that.
So what's next for GraphX? I guess is there like a thing you guys are trying to get to and then you evolve, or is it just basically
just knocked on a wall? We're just getting bigger.
Yeah. So our facility in Honduras, I believe, is like 70 something 100 square foot. And we have Pantone pillars. I'm not sure if you've seen that, Dylan. Our facility has these I'll pull up in a picture. I could, yeah. Anyway, it's just a beautiful facility. Like the facility views the mountains in Honduras. We have all these Pantone pillars. It's bright, it's a very vibrant work environment. But yeah, so we that was the latest. That's our third office, if you don't count, the small one in the beginning. But yeah, so that facility backs right up to another, I want to say it's, I don't know, probably 3,500 square foot. So we just secured that place. And then we have a big server room. So the way that the Honduras office is set up is we have this, it's essentially an L shape. So we have a server room in the back, so we have to back everything up down there and, ensure like internet.
That's cool. So
I didn't even think about that.
Let's say we lose a hard drive or whatever.
Yeah,
we have that art. You guys have
it.
How long do you guys keep artwork on file?
We use AWS servers on the website stuff. We use AWS servers. So if Amazon goes down, then we're all screwed. Everybody's, worldwide is kind of done for.
If Amazon goes down, it's just the world is over.
Basically,
right.
Essentially.
But yeah, so in regards to the website stuff, indefinitely. So, and on top of that too, we archive everything with photos. So like, for instance, which in my opinion, with indexing and finding stuff, photos, even a thumbnail, you can, jump right to the end. You can get to that file so quickly where it's,
that's super smart. Yeah. So like we've had that issue before. Like we use like Google Drive to keep our artwork in and stuff, but we've had it before where we just kept it on like a terabyte hard drive or whatever. And then we had one go down. And then this was years ago, but we basically had to tell all those customers if they wanted reorders, like, do you have the artwork? Because like, we don't have it anymore. Like we lost it. So it'd be nice to just pull it up or have you guys be like, yeah, we have it.
I had the same thing. Happen when my little garage shop, I had an old MacBook, and that was, there was no cloud-based storage at that time. This was
that's what I mean. This was all prior to like the drive.
Yeah. This was back when we used to get freaking BlackBerry photos. iPhones weren't even a thing, like BlackBerry scroll with the
black
ball,
balls.
like the black. But yeah, it's like, you came in at the right time, just saying. But yeah, I mean, I've had stuff go down like that too. It's where, backing it up redundancy is the point of all this stuff, especially when it comes to, if you're paying us to do the files, like we have to. So AWS servers on the a la carte stuff. And then we back there's a multitude of when we do stuff with people that have dedicated resources, we back it up, and oftentimes we back it up in their system, which is normally like a Google Drive or a, Team or what's Microsoft? Dropbox. Yeah. So both. Yeah.
So how are you guys sending files to us? Is it with like Dropbox or something?
Use Printavo, or what shop? I don't know.
Soon I will be in Printavo. But right now, like I said, we're just using like Google Drive. So I didn't know if like you guys are just like dropping it in the drive for us.
Yeah,
that's normally how it works.
Yeah, with staffing accounts that have Google Drive, what we do is we set ourselves up as, another user on the Google Drive. We'll have
or you just give us access to
folder one proofing.
Right.
Yeah, folder one proofing, folder two approved orders, folder three SEPs, or however, or we can archive it in the same way that you guys do, so you don't have to.
Okay.
And that's part of the learning process. That's part of the onboarding to where we understand, everybody archives files. I've seen it
differently.
Part of the staffing too, anything we can do digital, we do. So I have guys that, like, if they're not busy, they're renaming and reorganizing Google Drives.
Yeah.
Like, if I don't have art to send you, could you please go through my Google Drive and clean it up? And our guys are like, sure. Yeah. Anything we do digital. We're like your artist.
Yeah. I have a large customer in North Carolina to where we do order entry for them, and their order entry is slowed down, but they use Shopworks and they want to convert everything over to picture, visuals on their current clients. So they're like, hey, listen, our order entry is down. I want to repurpose that artist they have two artists with us actually. Instead of, laying one or whatever it is, canceling the contract on one, I want her to now go through all of our customer lists and create, she likes PNGs through Shopworks. So what she likes to do is go through her entire order list and say, okay, this PNG for this customer, is done right. It's easier to view that way because you can go right to the source. So what our artist is doing is now opening up all those files, taking a clip of, whatever the graphic was, uploading that into Shopworks. So now Tina can go through and say, all right, I need to pull this one up. This was customer X, Y, and Z. So yeah.
So it's like an actual art department staff. It's not like we're just here to do the artwork. Like it's anything related for your company.
Yeah. It's your employee. Anything I can do digitally remote for you, we're going to do. Within reason.
I was going to ask, you can send us
professional
art files and name them Art Final.
Yeah.
Final V3, like the one ... No, literally
seriously.
The one. Seriously. This is
seriously. No, seriously. No, this one. Seriously.
Back to, I guess, the artwork question. We have a lot of like big clients that like crazy artwork that's not necessarily just like bare bones easy stuff, or like Joe's Plumbing who needs to like 2 wrenches and like whatever. What if your staff member that does the art isn't like the guy you need for that particular design? So like what we're doing now is we're doing like, I have like my top like 10 freelancers around the world that I work with like daily, basically, where like if I have a customer that comes in and it's like, I want a hand-drawn turtle in doing this, and I want it to look like watercolor or whatever. I can't send it to this one dude because he doesn't do anything like that at all. Mm-hmm. Or like, someone's like, I want a skull on fire. I immediately know like anything that has to do with like skeleton skulls. There's like a dude that I have that I immediately send all that artwork to. Like, do you have the option to like use another designer there if it's not his style?
Yeah. So we have a Skype channel that's called our creative team because, either you have illustration experience, which I love Tori, by the way, the drawing that Tori did in the background is dope. We do a lot of SEPs for Tori, actually. The SEP work that we do for Tori is really, really good. I wish, but anyway, long story short, to answer that question, you with staffing, you have access to a group. We have this GXS creative channel, which is I think up to 30 something employees now. So we have a group that has illustration and good technical knowledge on building. If somebody wants something really custom, we have access to that group for sure.
Okay, so they can kind of pick and choose through that group, like who would be the best fit.
Yes,
well, we'll pick and choose for them, but yeah. Most of the time.
Yeah.
Right.
You can always request stuff, but if they're available, they're available. But we do have a creative team, and basically your staffing artist is just going to raise his hand and be like, I need help with this thing.
Yeah.
And we send it out to the channel, and one of them is going to say, I could do that and pick it up.
Yeah.
But I mean, every artist is bent different, man. You know that.
Right.
Just to your point. So.
I just wanted to make sure that like you didn't get a staff member to do art and then you send him something and he's just like, that's not my house.
And even if you have a junior artist with us that's not doing the high-end SEPs, like when you get him in, he's just going to send it to my high-end SEP team and have them do it, but your workflow won't change. Right. From your perspective, it just came from my artist, but our perspective, we got this. He went, no, I can't. Sent it to that guy and he gave it back to him and we get it back to you.
And the cool thing is too,
it's nice to have that deep bench.
That dedicated staff member too knows the style of what you're trying to accomplish. So they, by that time they usually have a good fingerprint of the shop. So it's like, if something comes back and it's not like the style of the shop or as creative as somebody wants, like they know they can kick it back to the team and say like, well, I want more skulls and more flames and more, whatever.
Yeah.
There's never enough skulls and flames.
I will say too, when we onboard you that first month, a lot of times we'll have several artists working on your account, and our team is actually trying to figure out who you are and place an artist because every artist is different. And our leadership team there knows which artist is good at what things.
Right.
And so once we've been in your account for about a month, we know kind of what your workflow is, and we'll assign an artist long after you've artboarded. Like sometimes your dedicated artist isn't assigned to you for 3 or 4 weeks because we haven't found the person that should be on that account.
Yeah. So you're saying like if every single job Dylan sends you is stripper poles, then you find the right, find the right
Exactly.
artist.
It's a great niche to get into, by the way.
But I had a
There's money there, man.
do I have it
There's
wrong?
Singles.
Yes. No, some are TLR bills. You never know.
Do I have it wrong? Do you also do digitizing for embroidery?
Yes.
Yeah,
We
for sure.
should tackle that subject right now, huh?
I think so because
Yeah,
I have so this is kind of neat because if you have a customer come in and they order t-shirts and also hats or let's say then
we don't need this service because our moms do our digitizing.
Of course, because mom.
Nice.
My mom does my sewing.
Nice.
Go
I had
ahead.
my
Sorry, I
mom pumping out
interrupted.
masks.
that's a very good point, Dylan. That's true. My mom definitely does my digitizing, but on days that she's like not feeling it, you know.
That's awesome, by the way. Andy, I
and I
didn't
don't-
know that. That's actually really cool. And
If she
it's such a
doesn't-
specialized.
It is very special. And if she doesn't keep up, then she buys herself landscaping duty for the day. So she knows, like, she definitely keeps up with our workload. I would say
Now your
this,
back's
though.
gonna hurt.
What's really cool is that right now, for example, or if you didn't offer digitizing, then I would have something that you guys created, and then I have to send it to a digitizer and then pay again. I know it's not a lot, but still, it's pretty neat that you would also, I guess you could just get me that file too.
Ish.
Yeah. So we still have to charge for Digi because there's, it's even with the dedicated artist because there's a heavy, it's expensive on our side, especially with the infrastructure. But that being said, that's one less task that she has to do, so meaning that let's address it from the workflow down in Printavo, which I know you're a Printavo shop, and thank you for being a Printavo shop because it's the rule best, just saying. So you change that order status from, whatever it is. Okay. Customer proof, which our team down in Honduras, we have True Sizer. So we have all the embroidery proofing software to where, we can digitally mock it up to where it's going to look pretty dang accurate to what the customer's ordering on the Digi side. But then once that order gets converted to, hey, listen, they're actually placing the order. It's our responsibility then to go through and create that order. I need the DST. I need it for, we're using an EMB4. We're using Madeira Classic. So it's their responsibility to go through and then create that order for you. And on top of that too, what's really cool with our back end in regards to the digitizing side is we can place, like, for instance, I'll give you a case study of a barrel maker. We place their logo on the proofs that come through. So when our team does it in Thailand, and actually we have 16 single head Tajima Neos over there to where, and every fabric underneath the sun and every cap underneath the sun. So when we digitize it, we actually sew it out and then place it on this run sheet with the barrel maker logo. So it's a direct, you don't even have to sew it out on your end. That's a direct deliverable to the client of like, hey, does this look right? So yeah, and it's branded. There's,
that's nice.
Yeah, we try to keep it as branded as possible, which is the point. But,
I don't really deal with that
less
word,
task.
but yeah, it sounds really awesome to be able to do.
It was interesting learning the embroidery side because, Lucas and I have had ink underneath our fingernails for, 16 years now. And
that's my problem is like, I don't really do, I have nothing to do with embroidery other than like, I'll take your order for embroidery. Mm-hmm. And then I literally have like I live in a small town, and it's funny that right across the street from our shop is a lady who has there's like 10 employees over there, but all they do is embroidery. They're like an embroidery shop.
Right.
So it makes no sense for me to have embroidery here when I can literally walk it across the street and be like, you're a pro at this, you do that, and then I'll do this. Like I literally just send her, hey, here's the file, tell me how much it's going to be. And then that's it. So I have no knowledge on like digitizing and all that stuff. So
it's so similar to, it's really crazy. It's very similar to screen printing separations. Like in the fact that there's so many weird, cause again, I had to like learn that aspect of, knowing the SEP side, knowing the art side, knowing the screen printing side, and then learning the digitizing side. But there's like, for instance, with a beanie, you have to put a base down. So what we call a base, what they do is they sew down a base of thread to have, on a beanie to knock down all, like if we were to screen print on a beanie, we'd have to press it flat before we could, it's not going to print good on a rib. So what that fill does is it knocks down that ribbing, and then you can go through and sew over the top. So it's like real similar. It's a screen printing base only with embroidery.
Right.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Can you guys break down? We've talked about having a guy or a girl that's like your person per month fee. What's like the a la carte options cost wise?
Yeah. I'll take that on. So in regards to SEPs, everybody it depends on volume, just like everything. But in terms of like SEP side, just like an overview, like our spot color SEPs are $20. Sim process start at 65, and it doesn't matter how many color. It could be an 11 color, it could be an 18 color, it could be a 14 color. So we're not.
You said it starts at 65. Is that something where
it's flat rate 65? That's flat rate.
You need it faster. If you need it faster. So our pricing tiers in regards to the simulated process, it only jumps up if you need it faster. So there's 3 days, 2 days, and then critical rush. So it only deviates if you need it real quick.
That's insane.
It's cheap.
Well, that's what I'm saying. Like normally, like even here, like we get artwork all the time. That's like, we'll do it in here. Like, that's fine. But like, we'll tell the customer, like, it's $60 an hour for us to like SEP this out. If it's going to be something crazy, like if Brian looks at it and he's like, this is going to take me all day. Like, then we're like, all right, we're going to say, we won't be like, it's $60 an hour for 8 hours, but we'll be like, we'll charge you like $60-$80 or something, usually, to just be like, we'll do this, but it's going to take him extra time. So $65 for something like that. See,
here's I'm thinking it's already a profit. This is the way I try to like break it down. I'm like, listen, if we're going to be $65 on the separations, and you internally, you recognize it was probably going to take, 5 hours at design cost to X, Y, and Z, still bill out the $160 for design cost, and then just, give us the 65 and call it a day.
Right.
Like that's, that's $100 for,
huge.
Uncovering. Yeah.
And if there's a project you guys have in mind and kind of want a rough idea, we do have a submit for quote option where you can kind of put some of the data in there and just say, what do you guys think this is going to cost? And we're going to give you a range, and that way you can make a decision. So don't ever feel like you're, going to be bamboozled or anything. Like, you can actually just say, how much is this? And we'll tell you, and we'll get back to you.
As soon as I look at either Lucas or Nick, I'm like, this is a bamboozle fest. It's not going to go
right. Premium quality, A1, number one. But yeah, so in regards to like the SEP side, on the a la carte side, there's only three. It's spot color, sim process, or 4-color process, which we don't get much 4CP coming through. That it's not 90% of the time it's either spot color SEPs or sim SEPs, which, even on tough, like spot color SEPs, like, $20 is a drop in the bucket, if there's, real intense. And oftentimes too, on the vector SEPs, what our team will do, which is really freaking smart, is if they recognize a vector SEP that has, like crazy color overlays, and you have to use this color to get this color, what we'll do is oftentimes take it into Photoshop and like get the blending right, and then output via Illustrator. So it's, they know, our artists know when to take on a much more in-depth approach to the SEP, even though you're still getting a spot color SEP. So it's pretty wild, man. For sure.
It's awesome. Yeah. I don't want this to be the whole episode to be like a GraphX ad, but like, we were very curious into like how all this stuff worked. But I mean, it's true. Like you said, like, it really does make a lot of sense for a lot of shops. Like I said, we do a ton of art here. We do a ton of all the SEPs and everything, but like, just being realistic and being an owner and like seeing certain jobs, like there's certain jobs that come through that are just like, it's complicated art to print, but the art kind of sucks. And you're just like there's a lot of times where Brian comes to me, he's like, well, I really don't want to do this one. You know what I mean? Like, I have a bunch of stuff to do, and I just really don't feel like messing with this one. Like, really kind of want to tell Brian now, like, hey, here's these guys, like, send them a couple things.
Yeah.
So you got me.
That's how it all starts. She sends a couple things, and he sends a couple more.
And then I fire Brian, and then we'll see how it goes.
Dude, I've got to say, like I've had a lot more shops recently where the owner has put me in touch with the artist, and we'll go through and like learn the system and get them dialed in, create their login. So, I mean, it's, it's very similar to like ordering something on Amazon. Like once they learn that process and they have that like freedom of like, hey, I don't want to do this. Like, I like communicating with the artist because it's like, it's direct to the source. It's one less thing you have to do. And so,
honestly, we haven't replaced a ton of artists, but we have replaced a ton of artists. What I mean by that is when you're hired and you're happy with your person, you keep them. And I'd rather be working with them directly and having them train our artists. But then we are the redundancy. So that guy can go on vacation and the company does. Yeah. And
that's exactly what I'm thinking is like I said, I've got Brian and I'm never getting rid of him. I don't want to replace anybody.
No, you wouldn't.
But it's just like when we're slammed, or like you said, like if there's other shit he could be doing that is more essential, like it'd be nice for him.
Or in his strength, like be creative and do cool stuff.
Right.
Which helps everybody.
It makes perfect sense to just have like a helping hand that's.
And another thing is since we're cross training, when you guys grow and like that workflow gets even more intense, you add a person. Yeah, you can add another artist. It's scalable, and we're training them, not you.
Right.
So it just makes it easier to grow. Because I mean, I don't know. Nick and I are in shops, and I don't know a shop right now that's not busy.
Yeah.
But if you know any screen printers, everyone's hiring.
Well, it's like perfect example is me. Like I have been filling in the dark room for the past like 2 months, just because it's like really hard to hire someone right now and like whatever. And I basically, busy. Right. Well, we're slammed, and like I took it on myself to be like, all right, well, I'll take on the extra burden of like, burning screens and everything and like trying to keep up. But I went to Chicago last week. And before that week, I came up to Brian and I was like, hey, like, I know you're busy, but like, can you burn screens for me while I'm gone? You know what I mean? Like, I'm not going to be here to do that.
Yeah.
And he stepped in and did that. And it's funny, like I showed up today and Chris was here doing some other stuff. And I was like, man, it looks like Brian burned a shitload of screens while I was gone. Like he did more than I would normally do. Like he got really far ahead, and he's like, yeah, he stayed here till like 9 o'clock at night, a couple nights, like just trying to get stuff burned so that in the day he could keep doing like art and steps and stuff he had to do. So like that would have been a perfect example to be like, hey, I'm going to be gone or he's going to be gone.
Yeah.
Like let's send it to them for like 4 days.
Yeah, and having him do that for a week is great, and he's more than willing to do it. But when it gets a month of doing that, you start burning people out.
Oh, yeah. Well, that's what I'm saying. So I don't want to burn him out.
Exactly. You just need that extra. Yeah. And honestly, nothing starts until there's art. So we're like the bottleneck for everything. Like you can't do anything without it being done. And some shops, all we're doing is the proofing because they have 6 salespeople, and they're constantly pitching stuff, and all they're doing is sending stuff to proof. Proof. But yeah,
Dylan, I was going to ask, you visited Second City, which Ian Doherty, like I've known Ian for almost a decade.
It's funny because I heard Nick Wood mentioned like 35 times while I was in Chicago for some reason, between Maggie telling me to call you Big Dog, Marcotte telling me Thailand story. And then being at Second City, hearing that, Nick Wood got me this job. I'm like, where the hell is Nick not?
Nick's everywhere. I witnessed
such a good. You're talking about the bird? You're talking about the bird?
Yeah, I witnessed Ron Winters riding bitch with Nick Wood on a bird. And it made it's everything.
we may or may not have crashed. Like it's
you did.
But I was like, no man left behind. Dude,
everybody crashes on those things.
Oh, they're bad. They're fucking freaking dangerous.
It's not meant for
Mimosa was like, so we get to the bar and freaking Alex killed, because he paid for Lonnie's and he killed the app. And I just see Lon, like his scooter just like dies, like blocks away. I said, no scooter left behind. So I freaking zipped down there, and we're,
Lon's got arms around him with only 1 foot on the cart. Just riding bitch by Nick.
We were palling around. We were just palling around.
It's amazing.
Hey, so with Second City, dude, tell me, like, you know, I've heard the expansion out there is a little nuts. What are they doing? You know, I get it from Ian, but I don't really know the full.
Well, they moved into the new facility, and it's like just the spot that I saw was massive. Like it was a really big shop, and I was like, holy shit. And then I found out from M&R that they, you know, they're expanding. Like they got a couple more presses. They're doing all this stuff. And then they're like, yeah, well, we have this other facility that's like connected. That's like just fulfillment. And it was like this massive thing.
Right.
And then they're like, well, we're running out of space here. So we actually just like bought the next building. It's also connected, but it was like the next door. And it was like a football field. It was just massive. I was like, this is crazy.
Crazy.
But they're doing some really awesome stuff. I mean, it was a really rad.
Dude, did you get to meet Stevie?
We talked about this before you guys got on.
As well too?
I did not get to meet Stevie. He was busy with dealing with some client issues or client. It might not have been issues.
He was busy.
But basically what Andy said is that if Andy was there, he would have seen him. But because it was me, he was like, fuck that guy.
Yeah.
But no, it was great. Just seeing that shop was rad.
Hey, just to let you know, I talked to Ian. He loved having you there, by the way. So
good.
Yeah. Appreciated that.
No, I liked going there. It was good. Yeah.
That shop is freaking crazy.
So Andy, do you want to get into
for God?
Nick, what were you saying?
We're losing Nick.
Yeah.
Or he's just walking in slow.
Yeah, sorry, it broke up. Hey, so
that looked so real.
We staffed with Second City for a long time. They were actually like one of the early people to jump on board. But the amount, dude, we did, you know, they were good. We probably did 500 sim process steps a year for them. And, you know, proofing was probably 1,500 a year, which was insane. They brought it in house recently, which was a good move for them. But, you know, we still helped them out for almost 2 years. I want to say it was like a year. It was pretty close to 2 years for sure.
Well, it's just like you guys can be like that fallback ex-girlfriend. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah, baby.
If it doesn't work out, you always can fall back on old GraphX.
Well, and like Dylan said earlier, you know, this wasn't like an ad for you guys. We wanted it's a real solution. You know, so we talk to shops and people message us and they have issues, and a lot of shops don't know about you. And so, I mean, that's what our show is about. Our show is about talking to shops and finding out what their issues are and sharing that pain, because we all go through it, you know? And so, and if all of a sudden we find out, you know, like a solution, because I think we were in Chicago and we were over at Steven's place, and everyone there uses you, and they were looking at Dylan and I like they were going to kill us. Like, what's wrong with you guys? We were outcasts.
And then we did
never be outcast to me.
And then we did like 3 or 4 interviews with people, and they were like, oh, you know, I'm having issues with the art department, or like we talked to like 2 or 3 shops that were just like a 1 or 2 man shop that just didn't have time to handle art and everything else. So we didn't know a ton about all your services, and we were like, oh, we, you know, go to our buddies at GraphX, like they have things. But then we were like, we should probably have them on and like hear the whole story. So
thank you.
We're glad to have you guys.
Hey, and also I got to give you guys, you know, like, dude, I've followed it since the inception, you know, just to let you guys know.
Inception.
I've been a big fan from the inception, baby. But yeah, man, you know, there's very few people that are actively pushing the industry. You know, I got to give Andy a big shout out on this one too. The heat press, the neck label heat press, freaking Instagram post that you did that went absolutely viral. That summed it up. You know, it's like, and it was, you know, pre-COVID too. It was kind of in this weird industry lull that just like hit home to me too. I mean, it was like, yeah, just it hit at like the perfect time where it's like, hey, like let's take a very real and true approach to this industry versus like top level. Like we can all, talk top level all freaking day long, but like the nuts and bolts are really, that's what you live and die by, so props to you guys to actually, getting down to the business aspect of it and the shop management and team management. Like that shit is you live or die by that. So yeah.
And
printing is,
on the road when you're calling people, Andy, you gave me some energy on that trip because you actually saw me and gave me some time, like back in the Rio days. So I really appreciate that. Not all shops gave me some time, and you did. So I appreciate it.
All right. Was it like 2 bags of money he gave you guys?
No, Andy's a good dude.
Hey, so in regards to the shops that listen to, because there's a lot of crossover in our clients that, everybody fucking follows the shirt show. That just is what it is. Right. Mm-hmm. So the feedback that I get and the appreciation for your guys' side is, there's been so much technical information of how you burn a screen, how you, what type of drying rack, all that bullshit. The business aspect of it too, which is what you guys drilled deep on is, yeah, man, it changes people's shops, which is, it's impactful.
Well, thank you. We try. We just like to hang out and talk to each other and learn new shit. So that's really all it is.
Yeah. And as if screen printing and EOM and art and all that stuff isn't hard enough. Mm-hmm. And then you also have to run a business. And so, we get into that stuff too. And I don't know. It's I was on a walk with my mom today, and we were talking about how running a business, just if you don't have a thick skin, you better get one, because it ain't easy. You want to do a listener?
Do you have one?
I do. I saw you posted earlier. Ask me a question. Did you get any?
Dude, 90% of anytime I post like have a question thing on Instagram, 90% of them are like, what's your ball girth, or like how long's your sausage, or stuff like that. So I mean, if you want a couple of those,
it's the burden of being sexy,
right? I mean, it's nothing I can do about it.
That was a nice selfie.
Let me look in here. Hold on.
What about all those crazy people like that used to hang themselves by their balls to like get it longer?
Yeah, ask Andy. He knows all about that.
I know a lot about this. Yeah.
Here's one. I mean, did you have a good one?
Let's hear yours.
All right. Well, let's go through a couple of these. Best upgrade that helped you the most besides a press.
Direct to screen.
Did you say direct to screen?
Oh yeah.
Yeah, that would probably be what I think both of us would say. We've said it multiple times. Direct to screen for sure. Getting GraphX as my art department. In the future.
Yes.
My answer is also direct to screen. I think that it's the fastest ROI in your shop.
Yeah.
I put it off. I cannot believe that I didn't do it sooner.
Yeah.
And when I finally did, I was like, oh my God.
It's like having another press, honestly. If you have 2 machines and you're like thinking about buying a third, get direct to screen. Don't go press.
We were in the exact spot you were at. We had 2 presses, went direct to screen. It was like having a press.
Yeah, for sure.
Absolutely true. 100%.
That's the thing that not a lot of I feel like gets overlooked a ton is like, we've had this discussion before, but it's like shops had the stigma of like, when you hire a screen guy, it should be the bottom of the barrel in the shop. Like it should be the green new hire, clean screens. But realistically, the screen guy that's cleaning screens, burning screens, all that stuff should be like one of the best employees or most hired. Cause like pre-press is so important. Like so many people overlook pre-press and they're just like thinking about press operators and everything else. But it's really like the guy, like nothing else works good unless you have like really good screens.
Yeah. If it's not set up right.
Foundation. It's the base of the house, man. If you try to build you're going up, you start off on a rocky foundation and then try to build a 3-story house. It doesn't work.
Yeah. So and I've done consulting gigs where they're like, we'll burn the screens for you before you come. So we're ready to go. And I'm like, no, don't burn a thing. Like I need to be there for the burning process because that's where it starts. I don't want your screens made for me. I want to help you make them so everything else goes right.
Right.
Especially water-based, by the way. That's important.
Don't stop talking about water. Nobody cares about water-based. We're all in plastic.
Yeah, right, Dylan.
You know what? We'll help you with water-based too.
Okay, cool. What was your listener question, Andy? I'm curious.
I had a third one from our friend Jonathan at Success.
Oh, we might as well just call this the Jonathan Minute.
The Jonathan Minute?
Nick, no, look at this. He was frozen in that pose. He must know. He must know Success also.
Yeah.
I think he's a customer of yours. I want to say.
What was
Yeah.
it?
Is he with us? He was. Did you see? All right, you back with us, Nick?
Nope.
No.
Yeah, I don't know. All right, I'm gonna stand over here. Hopefully, this
here
works.
is Jonathan's question. You ready? Since so many shops see growth just by customer referrals alone, is there anything y'all do very specifically that drives more customer referrals, like refer a friend and get a credit on the next order type of deal, or anything like that? Dylan, how about you? Do you do anything with regards to referrals and customers giving you referrals?
I never really have. I feel like I've always thought about doing something like that, but I feel like it's that catch-22 of like offering discounts because you're like, I don't know. I feel like you shouldn't always have to be offering discounts to get people to come to you. You know what I mean? Like it's kind of like degrading your worth a little bit, but like, I don't know. It's not a bad thing. I just don't know of like a referral program I would want to do where I'm like, oh, come to us and get 10% off. Or I guess the only thing you could do that I like would be like if somebody refers, it's kind of like giving them a commission. Like if I have some good artists, I could be like, oh, I'll give you 5% of the first order or something just to kind of like help incentivize them to send people our way. But that I haven't really done much of that.
Yeah. Can you guys hear me okay? Is the internet connection better now? Okay, cool. I was going to say, this is direct to Jonathan. What I would recommend is having canned emails that he can just, especially with like direct referrals, meaning that, he prints for school X, Y, and Z. That school is very happy. Email introduction is, I agree with Dylan, degrading, discounts, all that good stuff. There's no reason to, if the referral is coming through already, it's going to be it should be as close to a guaranteed sales, if there's a problem that you can solve. So yeah, like canned emails, making that introduction easy. Like, yeah, maintain the margin, man. Dylan's not wrong on that one for sure.
Do you guys even have published price lists?
No.
I don't agree with it. And I know a lot of guys, I see in forums all the time, they're like asking for, what's your price list? How much you guys charging? I'm like, I took Lyft and it was $10 one time. And then an hour later, it was $20 for the same ride, because you know what? It's going to change depending on how your shop works. And no shop should be charging the same thing anyway. All I can say about pricing and stuff is find your hourly rate and make sure you're making money. Know how much your business costs to run every hour.
Yeah, and that's realistically what it should be. I mean, you should figure out what your own cost is and not necessarily the race to the bottom. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Don't find out what that guy's charging and do 10 cents cheaper. And it's not what it's about. You should find out what you need to make.
Yeah, there's enough work for all of us.
Mm-hmm.
I think what Jonathan was getting at though is like, how do you incentivize, or do you ever send maybe even a thank you to somebody who, refers a good customer to you? And I think that I'm kind of like you, Dylan. Like I've always thought of it like, well, that'd be a pretty good program, isn't it? Because you want, and maybe there's a way to do it without a discount. Maybe it's just a thank you, like just acknowledge.
Right, but that's what I'm saying. Like, I don't know necessarily what that would be. Like one thing I've always thought about doing, and I never have, is like a postcard in a box to a customer and said like, hey, we appreciate the order. Here's 5% off your next order. But like I said, it's like, do I really need to do the 5% off? Or, hey, here's a postcard in a box and it says refer a friend and get 10 free shirts on your next order. It's like kind of like, I want to incentivize people to send more people here, but like, I don't know what I want to do. Like, I don't know what to offer.
Yeah, I have. So I told you about, we hired 2 people. They start on July 6th. One of them is going to be like a customer service specialist. So they're going to be helping people either like via the phone, email, or if they walk in our front counter. Okay. And they're also going to be doing some invoicing. And right when I hired her, I got another resume and somebody saying, hey, I heard about you, and there was a cover letter and there's a long thing. And I was like, and I knew them, and they have a brand here in St. Louis. And I'm like, wow, like they would be perfect for sort of this kind of thing. Not necessarily the customer service specialist, but maybe I made up this role title so far anyway, and it's called brand creative. And so whenever a brand comes here and they need help, normally they need help with all sorts of stuff. And so she is an expert at that. She has her own brand. She does a very good job at curating her own brand. And so she knows the ins and outs of it. And she's going to provide a lot of insight for these people, but also she does such a cool job of just the way her stuff looks that she's going to help us with all of that sort of stuff. And so I think she may be perfect for, just like you said, even if you get a referral and you send that out and acknowledge it, and you don't even have to give them shirts or anything like that. You give them something else, and just a thank you. I think that would go a long way. And that person was like, oh, wow, Shirkong thanked me for referring this person. That's pretty neat. And then I want to do it again,
Yeah.
I don't know.
People like to be acknowledged.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so I could do a way better job at that than I do. That's for sure.
Dude, I used to, when I was internet days, I used to, handwrite cards all the time, and I have deviated from it. And it's something that was like so effective. Need to get back to that. There's, there's also websites where you can go and have them sent for you and handwritten for you, like mailed out, which is
like a personal,
pretty impersonal,
thing.
But yeah, right. Like that's kind of cool. But yeah, I have to say the card was so effective. And I want to say back in the day, I probably a grand total, I probably mailed out 50. So it's not high volume, but it was super effective. Like it just,
Well, it's the personal touch, but the truth of it is we all would love to do that, but it just gets down to being like, when you're busy, you're busy.
Yeah.
Like you got so much shit to do.
Oh, dude.
And you got, I'm going to walk in tomorrow, and I know already I've got like a checklist of like 40 things I have to get done tomorrow. And that's not even counting the fires that normally show up that put out and everything else. So it's like, I would love to hand write a note on the inside flap of every box and being like, I love you. Thanks for the order, blah, blah, blah.
Here's a free pizza.
Right. It's like,
the truth is, I think the truth is that people love having a shirt guy or whatever it is. I think it's pretty cool when their friend needs, a shirt guy or a girl.
It's like their tattoo guy or something.
Yeah.
It's kind of a cool thing to send them to a cool shop or whatever. So
yeah.
I don't know.
I used to batch it when I was at Ryonet. What I would do is I'd batch it out, meaning that, it wasn't like, this thing came up and I was like writing that note. It would be like, I batch out like 5 or 6 at a time. We're just like, okay, this is like the time where I'm going to write these notes, then get mailed out, like that stuff. Like even, it's even the task of like taking it to the post service is like on a Tuesday, forget about it. It's not going to happen. Like,
right.
Yeah.
Yeah. I used to leverage Ryan's celebrity and have him sign a book and send it out all the time. I'm like, Ryan, sign this. Make it to Bob.
Do you want to hit up quick takes? Or no?
Yeah.
Do you want to see if these guys have shop hacks for us?
Yeah, at least they would have maybe an art hack or maybe like, Lucas came from a shop. He probably has a shop hack. Nick, you've done some printing, right?
I have a garage shop too, man.
Well, there you go. He has a garage shop. Sorry, I missed that. So,
no, I did.
Sure.
I don't. I still don't have. It was a long time ago, but yeah, of course.
Oh, yeah.
It doesn't even have to be printing. It could be business. What do you guys got?
Well, I always say begin with the end in mind, and it makes all the decisions easier. So if you know where you want to go, I mean, everything's easier. Like even, and that advice goes for the automatic shop to the manual shop to all the sizes. You have to know who you want to be, So just begin with the end in mind.
Okay, I've got a little shot. I'm gonna do a double take on this one. I'm gonna do one on the shop hack side, and then I'm going to do one on the business side. I have to say, one of the coolest things that I've seen recently, I was up at this place called SPD Shoreline in Ronkonkoma, New York. It was the craziest shop. I don't know how many presses. I want to say like 20 something. It's countless. Like you go from this. Dylan, do you know SPD Shoreline?
I don't think so.
They're in Ronkonkoma. It's the craziest shop that I've ever. They have all these like custom split belt sprints that were like way before the 3000. It's the wildest thing. Their production manager, Dane, he came from Hit Promotion. So this guy has been there and done that, a lot. He ran the Ohio division, I believe. But he had this, it was a magnifier. And I want to say Graphic Elephants sells them on their website, but it's a magnifier. So it's a loop where you can take digital photos of things. So it was the craziest. And I want to say you can set it up on like Bluetooth where you like immediately download the photos, like right out of the gate. So like that thing, I'd never seen one before, but
what does it do?
It's a digital
loop. Yeah. So it blows it up on like a bigger screen instead of that you can share, right? So you can take a picture of it.
Yes, exactly. So you can say, hey, art department, this was the problem that I was having with, this wasn't trapped enough. This, the halftones didn't look right on this part. But so you instead of having to put the loop on the t-shirt, take your phone out, take a picture through the loop. This thing is direct to the source. It was the coolest it blew my mind a little bit.
That's pretty cool.
But
you said you think they're for sale on Graphic Elephants? Yeah.
I can't remember the name of those dang things, but yeah, they sell them. Graphic Elephants has this like portion of the site where they have like, really cool little industry tools. And that's one of them. But yeah, it's, they were super, that blew my mind a little bit.
I'm going to look it up.
For a cool 20G,
yep.
You can get one of these
on the
digital loopies. All right.
Yeah.
I think that we go to quick takes now, right?
Well, do they have any questions for us?
Oh, yeah.
What's your guys' next steps? I know, Andy, you just upgraded everything. Are you working on efficiencies, or you continue to try to grow?
We are our efficiencies, yeah, for sure. I think we're not going to grow at this point. We're just trying to be able to be more efficient. I guess that's sort of growth because it's a different kind of growth. Right now, we're waiting on. It's funny, we thought we were doing the right thing, and again, this is for our shop. We thought we were doing the right thing going LED, but it turns out for our shop, we weren't. And it's been a long discovery process. And then I wanted to buy my old metal halide back, but finding the right one and begging and pleading M&R to custom build it for me. And they finally have. But it's not here yet because, there's always shortages right now in parts. And so they're waiting on like these two what's called hydraulic arms, for the lift for the table. But I think we found a workaround and it's coming. And so we're going back to that, and that's going to affect everything for us downstream, like in reclaim and all this kind of stuff. And so we're excited about that. And so I don't know if it's more efficient or just maybe
the right tool.
It's the right tool for us, for our shop. Again, like LED, it burns the screen. I'm not saying it doesn't. We've burned a lot of screens on our LED units, and it does a good job. But it depends on like the type of work you're doing, and also if you're running auto reclaim and all this kind of stuff. So it's a big deal.
I have to ask, what do you go with, like a Tri-Light or like a custom MSP 3140? Like what's the
31 MSP 3140? Yeah,
their things are the old. God, I love them.
Yeah. When I'm in shops that have them, I'm like, don't get rid of it. They're like, we're thinking about going LED. I'm like, no, don't do it. This thing, it cross-links the emulsion well. And you can use a lot of different types of emulsion. And like, to your point, the reclaim, if you use the wrong emulsion on reclaim on those auto reclaim units, it gets all stringy and gummy and does not work right. So you have to dial in a lot of stuff, but that 3140 works on just about every emulsion.
It's a beautiful thing. And
it's a beautiful thing. Yeah.
Excited.
I'm excited to hear that.
Actually, the shop that Lucas is helping down in Nashville, they actually bought a MSP 3140 based off. It was like Lucas told them, buy an MSP 3140. Like, just get it.
I got an old one, and then it had some problems. I had to replace some parts, and I turned into an M&R tech real quick. But it works great right now.
Awesome.
Yeah, I mean, it's the way to go.
So many of those MSPs. Man.
I see a lot of conversation. There's a lot of conversation out there on it. I think that you're exactly right. If you've got one and you're so tempted, because we did the same thing. We're like, oh, well, LED, it's going to work.
Fast.
It's faster. Yeah.
Pretty.
And the light, the bulbs don't burn out, all these kind of things.
Mm-hmm.
But I don't know. We're stoked. We're stoked to get back to what we were.
Yeah.
With
it's
that.
a full spectrum light source and does the right thing.
Yeah, you're on the right track. I've actually seen a lot more shops like transitioning from LED back to metal halide, which it's the cake.
Back in the day, I used,
bake a cake. You bake it right.
Back in the day, I used the sun. It was good. The sun works really good.
All right, let's do quick takes.
Let's do it.
You want me to start it off?
Yep. Start it off for us.
All right, hold on. I gotta pull your text up. What's the one thing you need every morning? You guys both have to go.
I think they're both frozen. This one got them.
Both frozen.
This question.
Seriously, both frozen.
Uh-oh. We
Lucas
lost.
is gone.
Yeah, he's gone. So you want to take an intermission? Man. He'll probably just hit the link.
Yeah, let's take a pee break and then come back.
How do you know to take a potty break and then that stuff starts working again? Was that?
He just instinctually knew. All right, you guys good?
Gucci.
Okay. The question was, what's one thing you need every morning?
Lucas, you start, man. I'll finish.
One thing I need every morning, coffee.
Is that what you're drinking right now?
No, this is a mixture of energy drink and Tito's.
Oh boy. Dang. Send it.
I'm in Nashville.
Man, I'll tell you, the morning ritual has actually changed up a little bit. So, I mean, I feel like the clear answer would be like coffee or, whatever it is. But, man, a little bit of whenever it's sunny out in the morning, I try to like jump outside in the sunshine for a little bit and get an espresso and a Topo Chico. Espresso, Topo Chico, that combo and a little bit of sunshine.
Sunshine coffee for Nick.
Oh man, it works, dude. It works.
Andy has a double shot and drinks what, two-thirds of it? A third of it?
Yeah. So which means I have a shot, and we were trying to do the math earlier. I definitely shouldn't try it now, but
yeah. Espresso is the only way to go, man. I don't do coffee anymore. I do espresso. It's like
yeah, same. Less
volume. More bang for your buck.
Andy, number two.
Number two is best recent read, listen, or watch.
Oh man.
Green Lights, Matthew McConaughey.
Yeah.
You guys were just talking about Green Lights. Yeah, man.
It's good. Now I want to do watch. Nobody ever picks watch. Like, what was a good movie you watched or a show you watched recently?
Hey, I didn't get to answer the book question, man.
Keep going. You're fine.
All right. Okay. So, I mean, I started Ride of a Lifetime through Andy, but then the Vans book. And then as cheesy as it sounds, Steven from campus dropped I'll Teach You to Be Rich. And like the first couple chapters suck because it's kind of like, I hate books like that. Like it's just not my style, but it's really good. The data in there, specifically on like when the reason I read it was he brought it up in regards to like purchasing new equipment versus used equipment. And he like broke down like the financial structure in regards to like, leasing versus paying cash. He's like, actually, one book that was really beneficial was I'll Teach You to Be Rich. And it's actually really good. The guy's kind of pretentious a little bit, but it's a good read.
He called it I'll Teach You to Be Rich.
Yeah. Yeah.
I would
He
think
means
so.
rich in love. Which
Yes.
not
I doubt it.
not dollars.
Mhm.
My best, I thought I would throw this out here. My best watch was Brant from Graphic Disorder posted something, and it was Steve Harvey. It's called Steve Harvey Jump, and it was awesome. It was like 4 minutes or 5 minutes of this speech he gave, like during, like he was taping Family Feud, and while in between commercials or whatever, he just started talking to the audience, and it was really cool. So, Chad, would you please put this link into this YouTube link? Steve Harvey Jump. I thought it was awesome.
Check it out.
It kind of talked about like how important it is to jump. Like starting is the hardest part, and he was kind of calling the jump like the start, and so don't be afraid to start something, whatever that is. It doesn't necessarily mean it's a business, it just means whatever it is in your life that you're trying to, that either you're have anxiety about or you're scared to fail or whatever it is, that there's a parachute and out there for you, and you'll be okay. So just start it. I really liked it. That's my best watch.
And there's a follow-up to that. There's a book called 5 Second Rule, and it helps people jump. It's a mental trick you do to circumvent the thing that stops you from jumping. But it's called 5 Second Rule. So
That's not if you drop food on the floor. It's actually
it's basically it's a methodology to actually circumvent the way your brain, because your brain naturally protects you and stops you from doing things. And so it's a scientific thing of how to prevent your brain from stopping you from doing things.
Okay, I'll check that out.
It's interesting. It's Mel Robbins, I believe, is the author.
Dylan, do you have a watch? Because you were talking about watch a lot of.
I know you want to watch things.
I just want to watch things. Well, I downloaded and watched Moon again on the airplane on the way to Chicago because we talked about it in an episode a little while ago, and I had watched it before, but rewatching it again was just as good. I am currently watching Dave on Hulu. It's about Lil Dicky. It's super funny.
Yeah.
And then what else? Oh, I'm watching ER, which is going to take me 9 years to finish. So yeah, that's what I'm watching right now.
I just got done with all the Seinfelds again, and they're still good.
Again?
Mm-hmm. I love that show.
I met a C-list celebrity last night that was in Old School. That was kind of cool. He was like,
really?
He was like, yeah. He actually had some like speaking in there too. But yeah, I mean, that was kind of the last little watch. I'm trying to think of something impactful versus like a movie. Man, I've been actually, okay. So watch. I've been following this YouTube series called, it's the Graham Stephan Show. And it's very much like financial. I've been digging into it a lot recently for like the crypto side, which, I like to learn about that kind of stuff just because it's fun to learn about.
My ass kicked in crypto right now.
Yeah. Graham Stephan, dude, like that, his financial videos, like, and again, it's cheesy crap to watch, but you got to know it. It's like, I even hate like vocalizing that, but it's like, you have to get a good, it's important to have the full picture of everything prior to, but yeah, dude, Graham Stephan, his investments to crush. So like, for instance, his dividend funds or VSAX, VOO, international funds. Right, yeah. So I like that kind of stuff. I've got into like, that kind of aspect of it recently, and he crushes. Again, it's kind of pretentious when you have to like go into those videos knowing that like, you can't hate the guy because it's really valuable information and it works, but it's good. It's good data. The data's there for sure. But
okay.
Yeah.
I always have to pull this back up.
And Dylan, if you hate it, it's not my fault. Just saying.
It's okay. You warned me. What advice would you give your 20-year-old self? I love Lucas's smile right now.
Boy. Oh man.
Neither
Lucas,
of you
you
want to
take
go
it
right
first. No, this one.
Well, my 20s are spent raising kids, so I can't regret the children. Regret some.
That's
other
not
things.
it. What
I
advice?
didn't say what regret you would have.
God,
Oh, no.
Jesus.
Advice I give it: just keep trucking, man.
Solid
not-
advice.
Keep
There's
trucking.
There's nothing you can do when. I mean,
Did you read
just have
that
to-
shit off of hats? At the
No, you
fucking
have
gas
to.
station?
You have to just keep going. Like every day, when you have like little ones, I mean, your life revolves around them. So just don't worry. Everything's seasons, and you're gonna get through it.
That's solid advice though for somebody who's like has kids in their 20s, because of just like you never know like when it's going to not necessarily end, but like the early childhood stuff's difficult.
You have to be there for it. And everything is seasons, you know, and you move on to the next one after they're over. But
Right. That's solid. Nick, what do you got?
Man, advice that I would give myself at the 20-year age. So this is pre-21, correct? So we're talking 20. It has to be specifically 20, correct?
Your 20-year-old self. Yeah. Well, just say early
Okay.
20s.
Okay. All right.
We'll accept 21 also.
All right. Okay. 21 is an acceptable answer. Man. Okay. So let's jump back. So during that specific span, I spent way too much time on the road. And one thing that I didn't do was focus on family back then. I was just kind of like, all right, see ya, you know, peace. Like, you know, like that foundational structure is it's so important because it is what it is. You know, it gives you that kind of, it's the foundation to the building. Right. So like, you know, if I could go back in time, I would say, man, you know, like maybe divvy up a little bit more time for the old fam, you know, like, that's probably a smart move, but yeah, luckily not that way anymore. So yeah, it took until fucking 36 to actually like pound it into the head. So
I like that. I mean, I think it's important. You got to slow down. I did a little bit of the same thing. You know, I spent probably way too much time working and not enough time. I was out of balance for sure. So
yeah, precisely.
And it's good to figure out that sooner than later. That's for sure. And I also like your answer, Lucas, because it kind of reminded me of The Big Lebowski a little bit, kind of like strikes and gutters. You know, it's like keep trucking, and life's all about seasons, and you just gotta, I don't know.
You just gotta keep trucking.
Going.
Big Lebowski's in the top 5.
That's what we're going to name this episode, is just keep trucking.
Dude, the Big Lebowski. At the end, Sam Elliott. So Sam Elliott was born in Vancouver, Washington. So when you go, you know, at the end of the movie, that's our hometown hero, man. Just saying.
Next question is, what would you be doing if you weren't, and I have this wrong because it's printing shirts, but what would you be doing if you weren't in let's
T-shirt
say the
industry?
screen printing? Yeah. In this industry, what would you be doing?
I want to be doing music. It sounds more fun than anything.
Yeah.
Just music.
I've been to some of Lucas's shows. Yeah. Yeah. That's a cop out answer. Let's get some specifics.
What's more specific than doing music?
Music's fine. Music's a good
Music's
answer.
fun. Yeah, touring and writing and recording and all that stuff. Super
What are you
fun.
doing? What are you doing for music right now?
Nothing. Zero.
Zilch.
No. Well, you know, I haven't played a show in 2 years, but it's also because I'm working on other things. But I mean, you write stuff in your notebook, and I'll build it out, and it'll come back. I have guys on standby. Like if I want to record, I can call some guys up and like, let's do a thing, and they'll gladly jump on the project with me. So it's some pause. It won't be gone forever, but we'll get back there.
You always need your hobbies and stuff to keep you alive, other than screen printing sometimes.
Yeah, and I mean, it helps you connect with people on the road too. There's fun conversations. I met a guy at a dive bar the other night because the hat he was wearing was one of my favorite bands, and the next thing you know, we're drunk singing songs together. So it's fun.
Was it Lagwagon? Was it No Effects? What are we talking about?
It was actually MXPX. He had like little punk guy in
nice.
his hat. And MXPX, I mean, my career has done a bunch of projects with us in the past, and he's a really cool dude. I took my kids to see a punk rock show, a sold out MXPX show. And my kids were young, and the show was so violent. So crazy. Like my son got in a fight in the pit, and I'm like, I don't want to get kicked out. And then
Your life lessons, man.
yeah, and I'm like, take care of your little sister, because she was like 13 at the time, and he took her side stage. So I gave him a task, and my son, who was like 15, and I got him on top of the crowd, and I crowd surfed, and he brought him all the way to the stage, and it was like all this experience that I want my kids to have. It was all at MXPX show, and it was rad. But you gotta go to a good punk rock show every now and again. And so like I find shows all over the place all the time. And I'm lucky enough to be able to travel to actually catch gigs, catch shows at places.
They're starting to come back now.
Oh my gosh.
Oh, thank you.
Yes, I missed it.
Jeez.
Missed it so much. But yeah, I like the punk rock variety though. I love all the fat bands, Lagwagon, Strung Out, MXPX, all those guys. Yeah. Nice.
Okay.
All right. I'm up. So textile industry is all that I've known. So if even the concept of like deviating from that is hard. But I think if I didn't work in the textile industry, I'd probably want to work for like an airline to get like free flights. I think that's the thing that I can think of. Or creative, or
I love how it wasn't to like do anything cool. You were just like, I just want free flights.
I think Nick would make a great flight attendant.
Yeah.
He's always positive. Everyone feel good about themselves.
It was funny because like there was this dude on the flight home from Chicago to Syracuse, and I was in first class, and the guy sitting next to me, they said because of COVID or whatever, like no alcohol, no wine or beer or whatever. Yeah. The guy next to me was just like, old guy. You could tell was just like super first class, and he's like, hey, can I get like a wine or a beer or whatever? And the flight attendant was like an older dude. You could tell he's probably done this forever. He was like, yeah, don't tell anybody, but I'll get you some or whatever. And it was just like super funny because like that would be Nick. He'd be like, yeah, don't tell anybody, but I'll give you a little sauce.
Yeah, no, that's a correct statement. Dude, have you been riding motorcycles lately, man? It's fucking
as much as humanly possible.
Oh, dude.
New York's been really rainy.
How many bikes do you got? Is it just that Harley?
I had 4 and I gave one away because Randy here needed another one and I never rode it and it just sat there. I got a newer Harley.
Was that mine? Was that the one you were saving for me?
That was not the one I have. I have the other one sitting here waiting for you.
Okay.
I pretty much just ride the 2 Harleys right now. One is more of like, it's super like a sofa. I love riding it all the time. Yeah. The Shovelhead is more like I just want to be loud and obnoxious and like
but the fucking what you've
obnoxious.
Done with that thing.
But yeah, I try to ride as much as possible. That's what's nice about like our Thursdays, like our shop steak night is if it's nice, we're all riding. Like everyone from shop is like, we get our bikes and we'll go ride to dinner and then we'll take the long way home. So if it's nice out, I try to get at least the 1 day a weekend. If it's the other part that sucks is it doesn't necessarily suck, but like I'm a minute from my house. So like if I do decide to ride the bike to work, I literally just like coast it basically.
Down the hill.
And then I try to make a point to like ride to lunch. I'll like ride like a 20-minute ride somewhere to lunch and then back. But I haven't had much luck so far this year. I feel like it's just been too rainy all the time.
By the way, have you guys ever heard of Steak and Shake?
I love Steak and Shake. Absolutely.
Yeah, so they have them here in St. Louis. I don't know how far they go or whatever. But I was thinking, because Dylan has steak night, and I don't know if you know this, but afterwards he goes and then gets shakes and burgers. Yeah. So it goes steaks, then shakes and burgers. So I was thinking you could, if you had a Steak and Shake, you just go to Steak and Shake. Change it up.
Does a Steak and Shake have like actual steaks?
Steak burgers,
dude. Oh, they're so good. Steak and Shake's like one of the most profitable. I don't know if that homeboy came out with a book, but the CEO is like, he's like a business from ownership, down the line. He crushes but yeah, I want to say he came out with a book recently, but yeah, that's worth it.
I haven't been to a Steak and Shake in a while. I need to get
I don't know if
there.
I've ever been to Steak and Shake.
I see
They
them and I
rule.
avoid them.
They rule. No, they rule. You guys are wrong. I have to say, you guys are all wrong. It's just like, it's good food, man.
All right. What's your favorite thing to cook? This is a perfect question to follow that up with.
Ooh. LN, you want to go first?
I'll let you take this one first. I have to think about it because I eat out so much. I'm trying to think of what I actually have to cook.
Eggs.
I eggs all the time, but that's because you need the protein.
Yeah.
Protein.
I know,
man. So I've switched it up a little bit recently to where I've been doing a lot of charcoal grilling, and I'm gonna drop a little dime for you guys. By the way, hang on one second. In regards to cooking, this shit right here is a secret weapon. So this is
I hope it's salt.
Oh my, yeah, it matters too, man.
I know.
Tan charcoal, this stuff, it's made from like
they're like the briquettes, right?
Yes, yeah. So it's like Pok, like the guy who owned Pok's like charcoal brand, but it's like some hardwood, Thai. I guess I could probably read it, but anyway, that stuff makes like anything, like beef, whatever you're cooking. But what I've been cooking a lot of specifically is short ribs and like bulgogi. So like I'll get these like thin cuts of meat and like get this like Korean barbecue sauce, marinate that overnight, and then just quick sear charcoal, mix that with some rice, some cabbage, and boom, off to the races.
Sounds wonderful. I'm really hungry right now, so it's hurting me. Did you think of anything, Lucas?
All I cook is breakfast food. We're talking waffles and eggs. I mean, I never cook at night because I never have to. I'm on the road. I eat in restaurants.
You just heard that he watched Seinfeld, so he eats cereal, basically.
Exactly. Exactly.
He's a cereal guy. I get it.
Cereal
hey, are we all Curb Your Enthusiasm fans, by the way?
Of course.
Does everybody watch Curb Your Enthusiasm?
Curb's amazing. Yeah.
Oh,
I've only seen some. I haven't seen all.
Larry
That's
David,
great.
man. That guy is something else. All right, I got a question for Andy. What's like out of like a series, what's been your series that you gravitate, that you could watch, you could put on whenever?
I think you mean like something that could just even be in the background while you're doing other stuff.
Mm-hmm.
I know this is
Precisely
pretty
right.
typical of like everybody's answer is probably The Office, though.
Oh man, oh my
That's
God.
great.
Yeah,
I love The
Yes.
Office.
Oh, Dylan disagrees.
I fucking hate The Office.
Why?
Oh man,
I can't. And you guys are talking about Curb and Seinfeld. I hate all of those shows.
Well, then I guess the real question is, what's your series that you can just
X-Files.
play in the background? Oh, dang, that's a good choice too.
I just can't do like, I know I'm against like the most of the world, but like I can't do like the like just dumb comedy skit.
Hold on.
stuff.
Hey,
I just can't
that's
do
not,
it.
comedy.
dude.
For me, in my opinion, I can't do like that kind of stuff. I
mean, X-Files is a good choice too. I mean, like, we're talking,
but it's totally
can't
different
really go-
worlds. It's like,
Yeah.
it's like sci-fi stuff versus like somebody being like, "Man, I farted in a corner." Like, I just can't fucking do it.
Every office episode.
Right. It's like,
I think with X-Files, though, you have to pay attention. Like you have to.
Yeah.
right. That's what I want.
Yeah, for sure.
When I
Yeah,
watch
exactly right.
movies and shows and stuff, I want nobody to fucking talk to me. I want to like zone out and I want to relax and I want to watch like a deep something that makes me think. And I feel like if I sit down and watch something like The Office or Parks and Rec or something like that, it's just like not.
Parks and Rec.
If anything, it stresses me out because it's like this dude is just being obnoxious and it's like I can't do it. Like I want to watch something that's just like drama or thriller or something that's just like I have to.
Do you like the
I love it,
superhero
dude.
movies? Do you like the superhero movies?
I don't like them in the sense of like it's what I would go to, but I watch them for like the eye candy, kind of like you would watch anything else, like big blockbuster stuff that somebody put millions and millions of dollars into, like the production value.
I feel like in terms of film choices, Dylan and I would probably have. Dude, do you ever watch like Duchovny's like some of the movies like California, like K.A.? Oh my God, dude, those movies. Oh geez, so dark and so gnarly. Like, man.
I don't know. Like I have a big movie collection at home, and I feel like there's like 3 comedies on the whole shelf. And they're like comedies I grew up with, like Tommy Boy and Black Sheep and like stuff like that. But like
big
other
Tom
than that,
Callahan, I mean, he's got some good business advice. You're either growing or you're dying. There ain't no third direction. You know?
pretty much those are my like comedies. I mean, I like comedies, but like I just can't do the sitcom show kind of thing. I can't do it.
Yeah. Man, those I do Tommy Boy. There's a it's funny because it's a comedy, but there's like this like real. It's I don't know, man. It's hard to really describe. There's like this this very like gritty. I don't know, dude. There's an interesting approach to it, to where it's. I feel like there's more going on.
There's more to it.
Yeah, I love it. I
don't know. We just
kind of
grew up with stuff like that. Andy, you got your signature question. A lot of these were about food. I feel like are we all starving right now?
Definitely.
I'm pretty hungry.
When we hang up, I'm going to go eat. That's exactly what's happening.
We're going to go to Steak and Shake there, boys.
Lucas has some Rice Krispies or something over there.
Oh,
yeah.
I'm on Music Row. I'll find a restaurant somewhere.
Nice.
Yeah, so that's actually the question. What's for dinner?
Lucas, where are you going?
I'm trying to figure. I was thinking Thai tonight, though. A little Thai food. There's a good place right down the road. Yeah.
Our neighbors invited us over for, they caught some fresh bass. So I'm not quite sure what they're doing, if it's going to be like fish tacos or fried up or whatever it is. But
you're going to do a fabulous sea bass, huh?
It's not, dude, this is freshwater bass. This ain't no freaking sea bass. Shit, man. It's way too far from the ocean.
Andy, what are you having?
I got, I'm going to show you it. I got this.
You got it under your desk?
No, on my way here, we have, you guys have Fresh Time? It's like a
I do not.
market.
Fresh Time.
And olive loaf. It's just like a loaf of bread with olives in it. I'm going to slice it up and we're making sandwiches.
That's an olive ciabatta is what it is right there.
Yeah, it's beautiful. Like it's fresh today. So when I go buy the bread, I got to look at the dates, you know, and I'm not a sucker. I'm not going to buy the one that was packed like Friday or some shit. I got today's.
Yeah.
Oh, I feel like anything with like Kamado olives, like just give it to me. Like anything.
All right. I'll send you one. It'll be stale maybe by the time it gets there.
It looks delicious, by the way. All right, big deal. Big deal.
I ordered Chinese and I'm getting steamed dumplings. That's what I'm having for dinner.
Sounds good.
Oh man, dude, I could go for some fresh dumplings.
Mm-hmm. Dip them in the sauce.
There's a place in Vancouver.
You don't use sauce. Hold on a second. What's with the sauce?
This is like you have to have the sauce with dumplings.
The ponzu, man.
Dry ass dumplings.
Yeah.
All right. Well, this is good. I'm proud of you.
Thanks.
He's a no condiment guy. Like chicken nuggets, plain.
Nice.
I had those today. I had plain ass chicken nuggets today.
That's baller.
Nick, you were saying there's a dumpling place where you're at?
There's a dumpling place in Vancouver it's on a different level, but they make soup dumplings. So like the way that they do that is like they make it's very similar to like, it's a dough. So they make the dough, they put the meat in there, and then they
like
take
bite
this,
a corner and like drink it, right?
Yeah. Oh my God. Oh
my God. Nick's got to change his pants.
Yeah, he's got to drive to Vancouver, it sounds like.
A long drive.
Hey, so I have to ask, who made the printer die squeegee in the back?
My father-in-law made it for me. He's a designer, and I had some really old squeegees. Like, I think the squeegee blade on this is like pretty much petrified at this point. It has no flex to it, and it was from a really old sign shop, and he just did it with Sharpie, and
that's so awesome.
It's awesome. I've had 2 people so far ask to buy it. And I was like,
$6,000
custom made. Like I want it forever.
I have a dead man squeegee.
A dead man squeegee?
I have a dead man squeegee. So I was helping a friend, like, you know, her father passed away and all that good stuff. And so we're like moving all this. I actually got a motorcycle helmet from him too. It's like this old like Suzuki. It's just the coolest. Yeah, no kidding. I put an S in.
Helmet's haunted,
it, man.
Yeah.
Oh,
helmet's haunted.
No kidding. It's this old Suzuki. Anyway, so we're like going through his estate and like moving all this crap. And I like come across this box and like there's all this like old school screen printing gear in there. Like we're talking, you know, I don't even know. I couldn't even place it, but the squeegee was like still somewhat usable. So I'd like save this like dead man squeegee.
It's your dead man squeegee. So long story short, if you don't have an art department, if you need help with any kind of design or SEPs or anything like that, check these guys out. What's the best place for people to go? Like, what's the website? What's the contact? Anything?
Yeah, Lucas, you want to jump in? You want me to take it over?
It's just GraphXsource.com with an X.
Hey, we actually did a redesign on the website too, to where there's a lot more content, like, you know, more clear definitions of like what each product offering is. So yeah, GraphXsource.com. It takes 2 seconds to, if you have an Amazon account, you can log in immediately. But yeah, it's like, GraphXsource.com. The cool thing is too, with the new website, we broke down all the product offerings into very digestible, like, hey, this is what proofing is. This is what separations are. This is how we do it. So the blog articles are really good too. We've been making a big push on Insta, and what we need to do is more video content. Like video content's always which we have Lucas, you want to tell them about the secret video?
No, we're working on a new ad, and it's gonna be fun. And
don't say that. Give them
we will. It's you guys seen the Dollar Shave Club stuff in the past, right?
Yeah.
It's kind of along those lines, and we'll take on some of our competitors like Design Pickle or Fiverr or things like that. And we'll bring out some of their some things.
What is it? What is it? You're going to eat the?
We're working on the script right now. It's almost done, but we're going to shoot it in July and August, and then you'll have a release probably September of a new pretty decent ad that we're working on. It's going to be fun.
We'll send it to us so that we can show it.
Yeah, guys, thanks for coming on the show. Lucas, if you're ever in St. Louis, I have a couch you can crash on.
Awesome.
Same goes for you. It actually pulls out. It's a sleeper sofa. So
when I came over, I had my own room and special shampoos and loofahs. So he just offered you guys the fucking couch.
Wrong. He mentioned couch earlier as if he likes it. And also that couch is in the room. We took the bed out of that room that he
because I tainted it.
We had to throw it out. So now we have a
What'd you do to that bed?
Hey, when my body gets naked and gets on something, it's really hard to wash it out.
We'll spoon whenever.
He's like, I get the night sweats bad.
Bled through the mattress. Yeah.
We can watch X-Files and have
Let's do it. Well, thanks, guys. We appreciate it. We appreciate everything you guys have done industry-wise, and now with going on with GraphX. So
yeah. It's awesome.
Have fun. Go get some dinner. We'll see you later.
Love you guys.
Later, dudes.
Bye.
See ya.